This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much back-end editing goes into this process. And, like, well, dude, it's, man, I'm super happy you hit me up. One, I'm honored, man, for episode 100. Two, like, man, the 420 episode, that's so crazy to me. So, yeah.
You're right. Timing was perfect. I looked at the calendar last week. I'm like, I said to the wife, I'm like, you're not going to fucking believe this. And she's like, what? And I told her, she's like, you fucking stoners. I said, you know it, baby. It's perfect timing. It's all about marketing.
Exactly. And it all comes together, man, you know, and that's cool, man, because, you know, it's definitely, like, it's things I make. It's not my bread and butter. I'm mostly, man, it's so weird. Like, I make pipes now only because when I first got into the game, I wanted to be a pipe maker. I wanted to be the world's greatest bong maker, pipe maker ever, man. Like, this is like 2000, 2001. And, you know, over time, my interest changed. My life changed, you know, just my passions changed. But I just realized that, like, I spent, like, you know, almost 10 years of my career, like, honing one particular product. So I just kind of missed it, man. So now, like, I've been dabbling a bit more, and I've been a lot more, like, kind of open about pipe making because I've always made them on the side. But, you know, even for me, like, in the last year, I started posting pipes, like, just raw dog on Instagram and Facebook, which was really crazy to me for a long time, just because it's just, I don't know, it just wasn't it wasn't my marketing package. It wasn't what I was doing. I was pretty much just selling to, like, local shops or, you know, like, you know, guys around the way, or if someone knows I make a pipe, then it's cool. But that, you know, it just wasn't something I was pushing. So it's been a crazy year for me pipe making, man. It's been great.
Yeah, it's killer. Yeah, you know, I think with the influence from the other glass industries coming on board as well. I mean, you've had your feet in both arenas, doing the beads and,
sure,
you know, and everything else. But seeing the scientific glass guys coming in and seeing, like, the fine art guys coming in and gals, you know, it's like internationally happening, which is fucking amazing.
Absolutely. It's you know, and, like, you know, I'm doing the UK flame off coming up here. You know, while we're talking, it's coming up soon. But there's another one which is the European flame off in Spain, which is all pipe based, and that's like I didn't know about that until probably about a year ago when I looked at the last one, and I'm really curious to see what's going to come out, man, because just internationally to see such a driving movement, and a lot of that is coming from our country and the work that, you know, the American artists are putting out now, and it's such a broad range and such an interesting body of work that it is picking up internationally. It's been cool.
Yeah, it is. It's super neat. And, you know, it's funny. I had no idea that was going on until I had Luke Zimmerman on, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, I had no fucking idea. And then he was saying, like, Carl Termini and what's his face out there. I'm having a brain fart, but the two of those guys were, like, really, you know, influential into getting that going out there and bringing the pipe community to Europe, which is killer. You know, and seeing Carl too, dude. I'm sure you follow him. He's a funny guy. And when I had him on the show and I was interviewing him, I was like, it was the first guest that I actually was at a loss for questions because I was so intrigued by what he was saying. He'd get done talking and I'd be like, oh shit, it's my turn, kind of thing, you know.
Dude, you know, it's just, you know, just how it all comes together. I had seen his work on Instagram. I listened to his interview, man, and, you know, the thing is, he's just so damn interesting that, like, I couldn't just, like, watch his work, like, on Facebook, you know. Like, I actually had to reach out to him privately, like, hey, man, I don't even know you, and, like, I feel like you're probably crazy, but, like, in the same way I am, and I dig that shit. Like, keep doing whatever it is you do, man. I really dig your work. And it's just, yeah, man, watching his work is just amazing. He's just such an interesting person and just does such amazing work, man.
Tell me about it. Well, you know, it's cool, dude, because what I like about him too is which, you know, I like about you and a lot of the guys and gals I've had on here is, you know, you got to be really transparent with your community. And, like, this morning on Instagram, or I think maybe it was yesterday, he put up a little thing saying, hey, I'm no longer taking wholesale or taking custom orders or anything because I can't do both. I can't do retail and wholesale. So thank you for the support, but this is where the direction I'm going in now.
You know, and that's, you know, just, you know, we've talked before about how social media as an individual marketing package, if you use it within your community and use it in the way that if you let your personality speak through it, it doesn't feel like marketing. You know what I mean? It feels like yo, Carl just gave me a call and let me know he couldn't do that. He's not going to do that anymore. I feel like the first time I saw that was probably, I think, like 2013 or 2014, man. Micro, Paul Steffens was the one who came out and was like, hey, man, I'm so thankful for this opportunity. I'm definitely doing AGE, but like, I literally can't take any more orders in good conscience. I'm booked out for 18 months. I remember just like clapping at my screen, like, bravo, man. Just as a glassblower, that's inspiring. And also just, like you said, man, that transparency, because that's, it's weird. It's hard to be on social media and be an introvert sometimes. You know what I mean? Because people follow you because they want to see your work. They want to feel more connected with you. And so just sharing parts like, man, you guys supported me so well that this is what's going on. Literally, like, this is what I'm doing with your money, and thank you for it because I want to keep doing other things. Like, that's amazing. And so I think that's really, really great. And so when I saw that from Carl the other day, I was like, yeah, just again, bravo.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. That's inspiring and awesome.
Yeah, and then yesterday I saw his Facebook post. He's like, I challenge all adults to go out into a public place and fly around with airplane wings and not give a fuck. And I'm like, dude, I was just doing that. I seriously, bro, I went to the fucking grocery store with my wife on Saturday night after drinks and dinner and stuff. And we walked on the produce stand, and I let it go, bro. I was like, wings out, the whole 9 yards, flying through the fucking produce stand. And I went by it, I go grab some cucumbers and then drop them off at the fucking cart and then fly back to the next thing. And I'm making the noises and everything. And then I like ended up at her, and then like the little baby's 4-year-old voice. I'm like, hey, honey, look, I'm an airplane. And then the fact that he put that out there the next day, and then all these people are commenting like, oh my God, I just did that shit. It's like the universe is fucking weird, man. Like, we all do the same shit at the same time. It's just
it is, man. And I believe in the power of positive thought and connectivity. So like, I mean, not to get too deep into it, like, I didn't do airplane wings when I saw it, but only because I for sure have done airplane wings this week, also with my wife. So, like, I felt comfortable. Like, nah, I got my airplanes in already, but I will do some extras.
Yeah, dude. Gotta go by and drop some bombs off while you're at it.
Exactly.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of April 2016, Mountain Glass is offering 25% off AccuGrind joints. Just put in the code AccuGrind, that's ACCUGRIND, at checkout. And for all you soft glass nerds, they're offering their COE 104 sale on mandrels and bead release. You can get it for 20% off. Just put in the code BEAD, that's BEAD, at checkout. For further questions or comments, contact mountainglass.com, that's mountainglass.com. This episode is also brought to you by C-Cube Co. C-Cube now creates a wide range of specialty and one-of-a-kind artistic glassware, items such as hand-blown wine crafts, insulated coffee mugs, pint glasses, and custom piggy banks that you can have personalized with imprinting, logos, and color accents that are available. Just go to C-Cube Co., that's SEACUBECO.com for more information. That's ccubeco.com. This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show. You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show. Hey. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 100. Holy shit. 100 episodes. Can't believe it. Thank you, everybody, for the support and the love and the feedback and the info and the insights and the comments and listening to the show. I just really seriously, I say it all the time, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening and tuning in and subscribing and sharing with your friends and everything. I could not get to 100 without you guys. It's just, it's amazing. So today, special episode. It happens that it's on our 420 episode, which is pretty badass, being episode 100. And we also have Mr. Rashan Jones back on as a follow-up from episode 1. Yeah, he was actually 1, 2, and I think it was 1 and 2. Yeah, because Quill was 3. So yeah, I split him into 2, and then I got feedback, and everybody liked the longer episodes. So definitely am excited to bring him back on. We talk a lot about kind of our last year that has gone down since we last spoke on the show, and also current industry trends and what's going on at the trade shows, some insights of our feelings and opinions on, getting a foundation if you're a newbie, and if you're not a newbie, why you should have a foundation. It's just all kind of fun stuff. Rashan's always fun to talk to, and I could talk to him for hours upon hours. He's actually, we had to cut a little bit short because he's going to be leaving in a couple days to go out to the UK for the UK Flame Off, to go out there and do some educational stuff and teach. He has a studio called High Desert Flameworks, and so, yeah, super pumped about that. Wanted to make sure you guys definitely go and check out all of our sponsors for the show. We now have the Flow magazine on. If you guys have not yet got a subscription to the Flow has been a very intricate part of my career with educational side of things, with all the pictures and step-by-step processes, going back to where Harold Cooney first did a demo on how to make a glass ring using some filigree cane, those kind of things. I remember Box Fan a couple years and years ago had a whole article on 420 and the whole idea of where the 420 came from and why in 420, in a sense, is a good philosophy for life. And his perspective was really, if you want to be, keep your head on your shoulders, in a sense, that maybe you should wait to partake until 420 gets there as kind of like a reward for all the hard work you did during the day. We all have a little bit way different working, and what have you, but those are the kind of things from the Flow that really influenced me. So when I designed the show, I wanted to make sure that they were going to be a part of it, and now they are, which is amazing. So thank you to Jennifer and Will Menzies for coming on board with the Flow, and Maureen, who is a co-producer and editor for the Flow magazine. Just super humbled by having you guys on here. Also Mountain Glass. If you guys haven't checked out Mountain Glass yet, what the hell are you waiting for? MountainGlassArts.com. They are the number one distributor for all things glass. And if they don't have it, just get a hold of them and they will find it for you. That way you don't have to worry about going to any other companies out there to buy stuff. Just go right to Mountain Glass. They are your all-source needs for everything in glass. And also, as always, you guys can just go to mountainglass.com/wiseguy, WYZGY, and you will be able to save an extra 5%. Or actually, that link sends you to a page that has a little thing on there about their starter kits. And because, again, the show is really designed and dedicated to the new glass artist, even though it's fun to talk to the OGs and bring you guys on here as well. But if you put in the code WISEGUY at checkout, when you get your starter kits, you'll save an extra 5% off. So you'll save a really good deal on those guys. And then Green Flash Glass out of Tallahassee, Florida, they were a really intricate part into the beginning of the first sponsor of the show, and them coming on board. And then, of course, we have Chris Bock with C Cube Co. He is an amazing scientific glass artist and is a lot of fun to talk to. On his previous episode we got into, creator of custom glass mugs, insulated beer mugs, coffee cups. He makes custom piggy banks, which is super killer. You can have your logo or image applied to these things. So if you have like a party you want to have and you want to buy coffee mugs or beer glasses for your clients, and you can have your company's name put on there, or if it's Christmas time, all kind of good stuff. So definitely check out all these guys. All their links are in the show notes. And thank you to all of them again for sponsoring the show and helping me get around, as it's basically helping me support my time, but also allowing me to spend this time and money on things like plane tickets to travel, to go to events and do more interviews and get more things for you all in the show for the education side of things. So it's super awesome. And again, I can't believe it, episode 100. So thank you all very much. And I hope you have enjoyed all these episodes up until now. I just kind of a lot of loss for words. I'm also at a loss for words because I just wrapped up my conversation with Rashan. So I'm a little tired in the voice, if you can probably hear it. But I had to get this out now just while it was fresh. So other than that, make sure you guys definitely go check out Rashan Jones at High Desert Flameworks. You can look him up on Facebook. He's under Rashan Jones, or on Instagram, High Desert Flameworks, or I believe he goes by Jones Glass. I'll have the link on there. I forget. That's silly. So, yeah, man. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. And the website should be up by now running. All the links and everything are there. If you haven't subscribed to the newsletter yet, definitely go to wiseguymedia.com. When you go to the homepage, if you haven't been there yet or subscribed to the newsletter, A little pop-up will come up. Just throw your email address in there, and you will get our monthly newsletters. You will also get, for signing up for the newsletter, you will receive a email that will be a list, which is my previous episode, which was how to get started for under $2,000. It's a full checklist that has everything in there that you need to know how to get set up and get started for under $2,000, which I think is very important, so you're not out there wasting a bunch of money. Also am putting up information on the website all about the mentorship programs coming up here very soon that you all can be a part of. If you are new to glass or have ever wanted to get into glass blowing, I'm going to be holding these 2-day workshops, basically allowing you to come into my space and share a weekend with me and my wife, as we will be feeding you and putting you up and teaching you all things about glass to get you going. I am also going to be offering some intermediate and advanced classes as well, and doing some specific classes like introduction into pipe making, creatures and critters, perfume bottles, doing wine glasses, all that kind of stuff is going to be narrowed down into some specific niches that you guys can come take classes with me with. And again, these are going to be all one-on-one classes. I am also offering couple classes, or if two of you that are best friends or what have you want to come as well, I'm going to be offering that, but it won't be any more than 2 at a time. So figure I'd put that out there for you. And other than that, if you have not yet subscribed to the iTunes feed, definitely go do that. And if you have not left a review or a rating, please do that as well. I appreciate all the feedback and the love I've gotten through that. I think the show now has received over 35 stars plus a shit ton of reviews. So thank you again, everybody, for the support and the love. I just, again, would not be here without you. So thank you. Other than that, I'm going to get the hell out of here, go melt some glass. You guys enjoy. It's 420, episode number 100 with Rashan Jones, High Desert Flameworks. Go check him out. Other than that, seriously, I love each and every one of you guys and gals from the bottom of my heart all over the world. Thank you again. And we will see you at an episode 101. Talk to y'all then. Take it easy. Peace. What's happening, Rashan Jones? How you doing, dude?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you today, Jason?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Welcome back to the show. This is officially episode 100. Woo! Can you fucking believe it?
Man, I mean, look, you said welcome back. That's crazy, man. Thanks for having me back on. Like, it's an honor and a privilege, man, just because watching you go from 1 to 100 has been so fast, and you've done just so much good for the glass community as far as, like, just what you've done, man. So thank you.
Yeah,
this
man.
Is awesome.
Hell yeah, thank you. Yeah, you know, it was fun having you on because, like, it was such a new thing for me. I mean, this whole process has been all new, and then listening back to the original recording before I even did the editing and all that shit, it was like, I could do this.
Yeah, man.
It was cool. It was like I was listening to another show out there. It wasn't even like listening to myself. So it was kind of fun because everybody's like, oh, don't you get tired of hearing your voice? I'm like, well, I talk a lot as it is, so it's nothing new for me.
I'm already fine with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah, so now I can hear myself in my car talking back to myself. It's kind of neat.
Awesome, man.
Hell yeah, dude. So you've had a lot going on this almost a year since we've been back on the phone with trade shows, and now you're heading out to the UK pretty soon. So I want to cover kind of everything that you've gone over in the past year or whatever.
All right,
but I guess we could start off with your studio space and your apprentices and what's been going on there and the growth that you've had over the past 6 months to 8 months to a year. I guess has been really. So yeah, let's get there first.
Man, first things first, High Desert Flameworks continues to be 600 square feet of solid flame working fun. It's my main production facility. It's my home away from home. It's my secret lair. I've learned some good lessons over the last year since we last talked. I think when we last talked, I had 2, maybe 3 assistants or apprentices working in the studio. In that time, I've slimmed down to 1. We're a leaner, meaner fighting machine, and yeah, like I said, man, I learned some good lessons over the last year because it put me in a position where I had to be both a flame worker, artisan, and also a businessman. As much as I denied it, it put me in a position where I had to be doing management and things. And I found that if you don't take care with those steps, then it tends to hinder everything else.
Oh,
and
man.
So now, now I move slower. I try and just make more cautious steps because, I treated my studio like I treat anything else on the torch for a long time, man. Where I'm down for whatever. Let's try to make it. Let's try to make it work. We got these pieces. We're gonna fit it together. We're gonna get the piece done. And what I found is that people and personalities and motivations don't mesh as well as in Calmo seals.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
so fucking true.
Like no matter what, man. So like even with the Calmo seals, like if you're trying to put a cobalt to a really stiff white to a purple and a nice ring seal, that's one thing. That's some consistency issues, but you can get there. Trying to take 3 or 4 people, all different ages, different experiences, harness the best, push out the worst in everyone, and create something. Man, team building is hard. It is. Bottom line.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. But it's been valuable lessons. And now, my studio's a lot stronger. I have a lot more confidence as far as moving forward in the future. So it's been good for me, man. We've kept a lot of the kids. We kept the kids program going, of course. We helped some Girl Scout earn their merit badges in the craft about 2 months ago.
Rad.
We have, we continue to work hand in hand with Monsanto Day School and continue to be part of their core arts curriculum and keep pushing that message further. So that's been great, man.
Hell yeah. Those Girl Scouts pay you guys in cookies?
Well, okay. No, but they did tip in cookies, and
Nice.
that was cool. I would have taken cookies, but they didn't offer it, and I didn't want to tax them. So.
Yeah, man. Well, this is the first year that I started my fitness program right when they came out. And, like, I was holding my fingers up like the sign of the cross, at them like they were the devil. Because, they get you at the store every time you go in and out of those places. So.
Oh, yeah, man. And again, you want to talk about brilliant marketing? Like, I'll have cookies at home and pass the Girl Scouts going into the grocery store and still just feel like I should buy a box. You know what I mean? Like, I already have these cookies. Like, that is brilliant marketing.
Yeah, totally. And this is like totally sidetracked ADD moment, but there's a movie coming out pretty soon that's all about the Girl Scouts, and it's like I can't think of her name. She's that kind of heavy set comic lady right now. She's in a lot of the movies. Funny chick, and she's like the main person, but she was like a CEO, major business person, and then like gets arrested for tax evasion or some shit, and then gets out of jail and decides to start a new business, which is a Girl Scout cookie business.
It's with Molly McCarthy.
Yeah, yeah,
man.
McCarthy, yeah.
I can't wait. The Boss, called The Boss.
Yeah, dude, that shit looks so fucking funny.
It's gonna be hilarious.
They're all like held up outside the dispensary, like selling cookies to all the stoners walking out.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
Yeah, it looks funny. So,
oh man.
Total side note. I guess a plug for that new movie.
Totally. Shouts out to Molly McCarthy in the movie The Boss. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, maybe I'll get some royalty or some shit for it.
Exactly, man. Get her on the show, man. Ask her some questions. Show her some glass.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, the kids program's been great, and so I say so much about it that I can't say enough. It's just it continues to be inspiring. And to see, just so many other programs like it sprouting up all over the country, just autonomously. Occasionally, I'll talk to some of the guys who are doing it, and there's a couple Facebook groups like Glassblowing the Next Generation, things like that. I know Mike Aurelius has been sending out kids glasses at an alarming rate from Oralens. So
awesome.
Yeah, so it's great to be to be part of that side of the movement. Other than that, man, I've been trying to kind of keep my head down. I've been doing so much instructing that when I'm at my studio lately, I mostly am playing catch up on orders and things like that. Or, I feel like I haven't really blown a lot of serious glass for myself probably in the last 6 months because I've been so dialed in putting out a new product line. The drinkware is going really, really well. Thank you to everyone that's been supporting the Jones at Home collection. Like, it went from me just like as a goof making a couple bar glasses for some buddies to like a Bonafide. We'll be coming into a Bonafide catalog service by the end of the summer.
Man, that's fantastic.
Yeah, man, we're super excited about that power move, and the teaching has it's both in the studio and outside the studio. It's been amazing how far it's carried me, man. I think that matter of fact, right when we talked the first time, I believe I was on my way to Toronto to do up at Toronto Flamework Technologies with Maddie Funk and the guys, and that class went really, really well. I got home and worked through the summer, and it was I believe last August or September. I got an cold email to my studio site that a guy named Martin Tufnell from Tufnell Glass in the UK, and I'd never heard of him before. And it was very simple, like, hey, my senior work, would you be interested in coming over to the UK for the UK Flame Off? And you know how it is, like on the business side, man, you get a lot of email. And so I knew nothing about this. So I did my due diligence. I Googled. I saw my friend Joy Munschauer had been out there. So I called her and asked her, and she's like, yeah, it's a great time. So I shot the guy back like, yeah, I don't know you or what you mean, but sure, let's do it, man. Let's run it. I'm totally down to teach. And so we went back and forth for a couple months selecting like the right class because they're primarily soft glass bead making geared. And so they try to bring in a Boro teacher that they think can really add to their portfolio, as it were, as far as like their client base. And so, yeah, they selected me. I'm going out there specifically to do opal encasements, honeycombs, and off-mandrel pendant techniques.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, it's awesome. I can't even believe it. It went from, just like a cold email, and I'm just totally like, I told my wife that day, I was like, I don't even know what this is, but I'm totally just going to say yes, and we'll just see how it goes. And it went from teaching for a day to a day of teaching, 2 days of demos, tours of London. I'm going to have an opportunity to go to France. I'm gone for almost about 2.5 weeks, man. I'm bringing my wife with me, or whether she's graciously taking time off and coming with me, however. But
yeah,
yeah, it's totally once in a lifetime. And it was one of those things where if I wasn't bringing my wife, I'd probably go in and be a 5-day mission. I'd go in a day, teach and demo for a couple days, maybe spend a day in London, then come back out. But because she's coming with me, I want to see Europe. I want to see some of the sites.
Yeah, man, take advantage. Hell.
Exactly. I just can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. It's man, it's crazy how far my torch has brought me. You know what I mean? Like I sit at my torch so humbly all day long, just like looking at it in awe, because like if I hadn't made the decision to be a flame worker, I wouldn't have seen the things I've seen. It's not just the money or being able to, support my family or keep a studio open or even the kids program. It's just that, just a little bit of propane and oxygen and some hard work is letting me see the world. And it's just amazing. It's humbling and crazy. And I can't, it's weird even talking about it, man.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. It's like me doing the show still. I think it's just such a weird, dynamic I have in my life. It's just
exactly
like the wife and I were talking last night. She's like, so how long is this podcast going on for? I'm like, honey, probably the next 60 years.
Exactly. Like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, this is it. So yeah, I ain't stopping now.
And it sounds so cliche, man, until I talk to someone like you or like, our typical audience with this show where it's other flame workers and other makers and crafters that like, man, it's just like hats off to everybody that's working to push it at that level. Like, that's just, I want to go over to England and make an incredible impression. I want them to holler at me like, yo, who's the next Boro worker we should bring over?
Yeah,
so
dude.
I can put names out there. I want to keep that going. And just because the further we push this thing, the more we can see.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think that the trickling effect that it's having internationally is huge. I mean, I talk about it all the time on the show. It's like I look at the geographical stats on the show, and it's like I've got people listening to the show in United Emirates and Dubai and Australia. And I mean, still, number 3 downloaded country is Korea.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I had to make sure I learned how to say thank you in Korean. I couldn't say it right now, but I said it in the last episode. But thank you again to everybody listening. I mean, fuck. I think the influence, just the medium itself there's such a huge renaissance. Like talking to Mike Souza about it, he's like, there's this whole talk about this whole technological movement that this country's in, but really we're in this whole glass age. I mean, there's no reason not to call it the glass age because glass is just transforming the world every day. Something new's coming out. I mean, fuck. I mean, they just can't. I just saw this other day. This flexible glass they have. Pretty soon we're gonna have phones like Tony Stark type technology. I mean, it's killer.
Dude, look, man. I mean, like, okay, weird glass upgrades outside of our business. And I admit I watched this commercial probably like more times than I should have. There was a crazy Samsung commercial for their new Galaxy. Shout out to Samsung. They have such great seals on the glass that the whole commercial is basically Lil Wayne pouring champagne on his phone for like 30 seconds, bro. Like that's pretty much the whole commercial.
Oh my gosh.
And then he dips it in the aquarium. You can like hear his boy talking. He brings it back out, pours more champagne, and it's such a silly, ridiculous commercial. But like glass wise, it's like, yeah, that's us, man. Yeah. Glass does that.
It's fantastic.
I mean, Boro is Boro, and that is my home, and I love it. I look at the world through all kinds of different glass now, though, man, just because of my travels and just the artisans I've met who don't work Boro but are still incredibly talented artisans. And so now I just respect just the empirical value of glass in our community. And of course I'm biased. I'm a glass blower, but like it's clearly there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see that Netflix documentary yet that's out there? Well, it's a series. It's called like How We Got to Where We Are or How We Got to Now or something like that.
No, I haven't. Thanks for the tip, though.
Yeah, dude, I think it's called How We Got to, let me Google it real quick. I want to say it's called How We Got to Now but basically episode 2 is all about glass. The whole premise of the show is how one concept and idea can then lead to all these crazy other things. And let me see how we got. And episode 2 is on glass, and it gets into like the very beginnings of, it's How We Got to Now, it's called.
Okay.
And it's 6 episodes, but the second one's on glass. It came out in 2014. Huh, interesting. Cool. So anyways, so it gets into glass, and he talks about like the very beginnings of glass being manufactured and made and what it was used for, to where in Italy they wanted clear glass, and once that clear glass became possible, it changed everything in our world. From that led to glasses, to the telescope, to the microscope, to windows, to windshields, to our phones, to everything you can think of that's glass now. All started with this one guy who wanted to have clear glass, and the whole show, the documentary, gets into all that stuff. It's fantastic, but it's neat because conceptually wise, it's I love the concept of someone giving you a thought or coming up with an idea that then inspires all these other people to make something completely different of their own perspective of it. Our glass is the same way, what we do in this industry, So you see some dude posting, Yushin posts up some encycler or whatever the hell he's doing. It inspires all these other cats out there now to do their own versions or perspectives and takes on it. It's fascinating.
Exactly. No, it's just, and again, just we talk about it all the time, man. Hats off to social media because I'm able to watch it happen, man.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
I can watch a piece come out on Monday from just one of the OGs, and then for better or worse. I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole copying versus flattery or any of that. I'm just saying that within 10 days, you can already see real time how that one picture or that one piece from one artisan influenced throughout, kind of rippled throughout. You know what I mean? Yep. Whether it be all of a sudden everyone is rocking Tangerine, that Tangy crush,
yep.
or or whatever, man. And it's on one, at first I kind of railed against it, man, but the fact is, you can't stop it. And so on a certain level, you just have to kind of embrace things like that and just respect the fact that, these ripples are being made real time, and this really is happening. And so it's kind of get on board and catch the wave or not, but this is what really is happening. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's pretty neat, and especially everybody's freaking out with the way Instagram was changing their algorithms and shit. I haven't noticed a fucking thing.
No, I will tell you straight up, I have noticed the exact opposite effect because I have had people who have never followed my work. I picked up a bunch of followers since all that happened, and actually, I think that they pulled it back to where they weren't going to do that. But whatever tweak they made, just over the course of a couple days, I just started picking up a lot of random followers, and even friends of mine who I know maybe who I follow their work and they follow mine, but they don't usually like or comment or interact with my stuff because maybe they don't see it. I don't know what happened with the way they were changing things, but I actually had a good little bump, man. It was cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it just goes to show that as an entrepreneur, you got to learn how to pivot when things happen.
100%, man. Got to keep the head and the business plan kind of on a swivel, man. I stay focused on my core values and where I want my business to go. But if I see, in a moment, an opportunity to do something different, then that's just what
Oh, shit.
I don't know what all you heard. Basically, I was just rambling on about just having to kind of stay on a pivot as far as your business plan and stay with your core values and the core process and focus where you're going. But you have to be ready to kind of move on an idea at a moment's notice.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have an actual core value mantra, kind of something written out so that people can understand what your philosophy of your business is?
I mean, I have my longer professional bio and I have my shorter bio, but as far as mission statement, no, I haven't. I have one written out that I kind of keep for myself, man. But I mean, that's more just like a personal mantra I kind of go through. As far as my business model, what I present to people, I actually just had to change all that because now it just incorporates more just general flame working and more education specific because my biggest product right now, honestly, is my education package.
Yeah.
As far as revenue. And so I've had to really, I basically had to rebuild my, I had to put out a CV or whatever, curricula vitae, just to actually show where my education lineage came from. And basically just these studios and events have trusted me to teach their people in this fashion for this many years. Thus I have this experience kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially, I think having a foundation of a mission statement, no matter what it is, it definitely is, because then you can build everything on it, because the whole idea of not having a strong foundation, then you don't have a strong building, or your building's going to fall down.
Yeah.
Kind of ideas. So it's definitely important. So I'm glad you think that way, because not a lot of people do in our world, and I think it's definitely an important way to start, especially because, again, with this industry going the way it is and the laws changing, and it's going to become even more industry. I mean, we can say it's not really industry right now, even though it is.
Yeah.
But it is, it's definitely industry. And kind of stepping back to your studio talk, myself personally, I went through the exact same thing this year with starting the podcast, went seasonal at Disney so I could focus on myself, get my business going, my production line, brought an assistant on, had a studio going, the whole 9 yards. And it definitely, like you're saying, you have to make sure that when you're running a business, that your business has a focus and a list of priorities of how you're getting shit done, not just going in there saying, okay, I'm going to improvise this and hope that this works. Because in my situation, the same shit happened. I got so overwhelmed with everything going on that I sucked at everything. I sucked at blowing glass. I sucked at my life, my being a dad and husband.
Everything suffered.
Yeah, everything did. Yeah. And it took my brother pulling me aside to be like, hey, dude, just so you know, this is what we're seeing from our perspective, which woke me the fuck up and made me make some serious changes and cut the fat from a lot of things that I didn't need to have in my life, blah, blah, blah. I mean, because I went from having all the shit that I was ever dreamed of to it all going away within like a matter of a month and a half, all because I wasn't focused on one specific thing. I was being spread so far apart that I just couldn't bring myself back together. It was a huge learning lesson. Again, like you're saying, you got to like bring people in and fill them out, and if they do work, they do. If not, then you let them go. You got to let them go immediately. Like it's beneficial for them as well.
No, and that's 100%, man. Even like as far as you're saying, like it all going away within a month and a half. It just shows like I consider myself a professional flame worker. I consider yourself as well one of my colleagues and peers, man. So like to know that we are professionals, we have families, we have business plans. And that stuff is so precarious that a couple, like 4 weeks of inattention and your whole shit falls apart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, It's weird. That was hard for me to accept. And then, I found myself in a situation where, I wanted to be nice. I wanted to bring people along because that's what was done for me. But, like, the fact is, just not everyone gets to be a flame worker. And I say it like that in a real serious way because it is a unique balance of time and skill set and dedication. And it's not for everyone. The same way that being a doctor, a lawyer, a ship's captain isn't for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's just not. Yep. And I had to really accept that no matter how hard I tried to teach someone or put someone on or whatever, however I was describing it, it's literally, horse to water, can't drink, etc. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't realize that. I felt like if I keep hitting my head against the wall that eventually I'd have a breakthrough. But what ended up happening was I'm suffering in my studio. And that's, going back to the whole business mantra, man, for me, it was easy. It's easy for me to pull back and stay focused when I start making mistakes like this because of kind of how I got here. From the very beginning, like, I was a single dad. I had to have my son as my sole focus and then glass. And then once glass started, at least was a revenue source enough to kind of keep the lights on and kind of pay rent and keep us fed, then I could focus on my child. Now that he's older and I'm able to focus on just glass a lot more, it's easy for me to look back on it and say, oh, you know what, I'm getting away from my core focus. Yeah. And that's where a lot of my mantra lies, man. It's just, the inspiration that I find is from, I look through my son's eyes. I think about like, if he were in the room, how would I explain this decision I'm making to him?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And once I got there, I'm like, okay, well, I wouldn't. I'd feel embarrassed to explain this decision. Okay, well, that's a bad decision. So
yeah, man, I completely agree. It's that whole idea of like, it's not the what are you doing, it's the why are you doing it, kind of ideas, and you and I are in very similar situations, being married and having kids and stuff. So I myself personally, like my wife and I are getting ready to go to this Dave Ramsey Smart Conference on Saturday coming up. Yeah. Where like it starts at 8:30 in the morning and it goes until 9 o'clock at night, and we're gonna be bombarded by like all of the top people in Dave Ramsey's organization that discuss everything from finances to business to family to setting boundaries, the whole 9 yards, which I'm super pumped about. Like I can't wait to get these extra tools in my tool bag. But having kids, I mean, shit, that's been the biggest fucking tool bag I've had, learning how to do this shit. Because like I know myself, seeing the way my kids are acting right now in certain situations, I can see how I acted the same way at their age and even as an adult, making excuses for shit, stuff that they probably learned from me. I mean, I'm sure their mother influenced them too, but
exactly,
it's all her fault.
Well, no, like I've been really, my son's about to be 16. He'll be headed off to college here in a couple, about 18 to 24 months, Lord willing. And so I'm definitely going through that thing where like I'm trying to instill in him life lessons, and I let him know straight up that like a lot of the things, like everything I really don't like about his personality is probably rooted in something I don't like about my own.
Exactly. Yep. That's it, dude. That whole apple don't fall far from the tree bullshit.
Exactly. But man, like just kind of segueing that, man, as far as like parenting and flame waking, or it's the 420 episode, specifically pipe making, has always been such a gray area for me, because in the beginning I made pipes a lot. My local history of pipe making is well known. I didn't really do anything outside the city, except for if I go to a bead show, I became known as like the guy you could quietly, like, if you need a travel piece, Jones probably has a little case under his bench kind of thing, or under his show table. And so word got out like that, and so people would start messaging me and ordering pipes just kind of on the low. And there's people that like they're not going to like a picture of a pipe on Facebook or Instagram. They're not going to go to their local head shop and just buy a pipe because they're concerned their car is going to be seen out front. And whether that is a good or bad or whatever, that's not for me to say. I feel honored that there's people who like know that I'm discreet enough that they can just approach me quietly, like, hey man, I got like 50, 100, 150 bucks. I like your colors. Can you send me a little plain brown wrap package? And that's been really, really good for my business. And so I really enjoy that. And so trying to balance that with also, my son's at, that quote unquote troubled age. He's a sophomore where he's around marijuana culture and things like that. And so trying to balance being a pipe maker and also being, a good, responsible, what I think is effective parent it's been a tightrope walk for me. And so, we were talking about our similarities as being kind of married with kids. There's a lot of guys who make amazing pieces that just don't need to take these things into consideration. And I think that's hats off to them, man, because they're able to push themselves in ways that I just can't. Or I feel like I can't. Whether it be skill set available, I feel like whether it be socially or marketing, I can't, because the last thing I want is for some parent or the aforementioned Girl Scout troop to send me an email apologizing, like, hey man, thanks for those badges. We'd love to keep working with you, but man, you made that recycler, and then you were water testing it on Instagram, and this one other parent was offended. Like, I don't ever want to have that conversation, and that's the path I've set for myself.
Yep. And
so I don't think anyone else has to walk that path, but I salute the fact that everyone within this industry can kind of make their own way through it now. It's become a lot easier.
Yeah, I totally agree, man, because like they're saying, having kids and being a pipe maker, like my kids are always like, oh, what's that? What is that made for? What is that? It's like, oh, that's for blown bubbles or whatever, And then my daughter got to the age, I think she was 14, I want to say. And then, because she was in middle school, and she was, middle school kids is like the worst time ever. So, she was always really had a good head on her shoulders and making good decisions with friends. But still, I wanted to have that drug talk with her. So we had the talk, and I let her know, hey, this is what I do. I'm an adult. I can do this shit. I don't agree with the laws. Blah 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 blah. If you ever do this, I'm gonna kick your ass, kind of thing. Come talk to me, kind of thing. But I had to have that talk with her. And now that she's gotten on, now she's same thing. She's junior in high school, and I know her. She's had a boyfriend a year and a half back that I saw through message that she had happened. But basically, the way it worked out was she was talking to him on her phone, and her iPad was out in the living room, and we could see the conversation.
Yes. The iMessaging.
Yeah, so like it comes up from him like, hey, I'll bring that thing over, and she's like, no, you can leave it at home. I immediately went in the room. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I got her on her phone and was like, hey, this is Dad. We need to talk about this shit, right now. So I nipped that shit in the butt, right away. But we got to be open with our kids and have these conversations, because otherwise, if they don't learn from us, they're gonna be learning from their idiot fucking friends out there, or from Instagram or Snapchat or whatever else going on.
100%.
And go on.
Oh no, but it's I had the conversation with my son 2 years ago, so he was 13, almost 14, and surprise, man, we were actually on our way down to the Tucson Gem and Mineral show, and Tucson has a really, really long tradition in glass blowing and pipe making, man, as I was talking about before, and I was like, if my son's going to be anywhere by himself and walk around a corner and accidentally see a guy like smoking a joint or like, smoking out of a bowl, it's going to be there. So let's just talk about it. We got a nice long road trip. So let's just have a conversation. So, we talked about it medicinally, decisions adults make. To a certain extent, man, I kept it on the same level as like it's the same kind of way I feel about alcohol, and that like, yeah, man, you don't need that in your life right now, and later on, if you choose to have that in your life, I hope that you do so responsibly. The flip side with my kid is that teenagers rebel. All kids are going to rebel, and since my son he's always seen pipes, but just assumed they were tobacco pipes. He never put two and two together as far as marijuana culture and pipe making until I built that connection for him. And so now, fast forward a couple years, he was on the speech and debate team. He's a varsity football. He's killing it with his grades. And in general, man, his form of rebellion, he's going to, when you rebel, you kind of do what your parents don't do. So he knows that, like I make pipes. He knows that I'm involved in that culture. So he really has gotten far, far away from it. As a matter of fact, like he's gone out of his way to be like, nah, that's not for me. Like that's my dad's weird shit that he's into, but nah, I'm not with that.
Yeah, I think my daughter's the same way because I was always like a sexual pothead.
Yeah.
Growing up, and my daughter's like we had the whole masturbation talk, to embarrass her right now in front of everybody. But I had to talk about her, about sex and everything else, and because exactly. And I don't know if her mom's gonna talk about this kind of stuff to her, and I told her that I was like, exactly. If she's dealing with a period shit, whatever else, I'm gonna talk to her about it. I don't give two fucks if I embarrass her or not, because I'm so open about it. But like you're saying, she's like, I have no interest in sex at all. And the other culture that you're involved with either. So I'm like, okay, cool. Please.
Yeah, it's please. An interesting byproduct of our decision is that our kids are like, nah, I don't want to do that.
And then she'd be like 25 and she's going to be a stoner whore.
Dude, all right, so I had a situation where basically I was, luckily Facebook Messenger works the way it does. My son had logged into my computer, so like, he didn't log out. So I was just, one of his messages pops up on a screen, and it's basically some kid trying to like convince him that he should buy some herb. And it's just like, it's been going on apparently like based on the messages for about 4 weeks. And like the whole thing is like, my son's like, okay, I'll let you know if I know anyone, and maybe. And at first I'm like, is my son building an intricate crime empire? Wait a minute. And then like I really looked at it for what it was, man, like bigger picture, and like it was literally peer pressure in action, where this like older kid that he kind of knew was trying to get him into something, and he was just like, nah. And instead of just saying no, though, he just kept saying, I'll see, maybe, till eventually he was like, I don't really know anyone like that. And then I got involved. I messaged the kid, same as you, man. I hit the kid up like, yo, what's up? This is his dad. I got like pages and pages of screenshots here of what you have going on. Like, just knock it off. Like, I don't want it to go any further than this. It doesn't have to, but like, don't contact my son like this again. And like, and I thanked him. And that's what like really first opened my eyes as a dad. And it's a weird pride moment, man. But like, as a pipe maker, it's a total pride moment. Like,
yeah, totally.
Cool. Yep. Like, even when I'm not around, this is how little man rolls. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
Like,
I felt the same way, dude. I was like, do I need to drug test you? And she's like, nope, you can if you want, but you don't have to. I was like, okay, cool.
And
Thank you.
That's honestly, like during that time period, that's when I became more comfortable. Like, all right, well, honestly, if I were more open about my pipe making, then this could be a different revenue source. And it's not a matter of like pipe making for the money, man. Like my average wholesale pipe cost right now my average retail pipe cost right now is under $100. Like I do like nicer rigs and stuff, but when I'm doing pieces, I usually do like old school color changing flower pieces stacked in columns with like mushrooms, things like that, man. So like, I'll get those off for like $100 and it's been really cool because what it's allowed me to do is basically it's made pipe making viable for me because before I couldn't spend the tube, man. A piece of 38 to me is like a goblet foot or it's a spoon, you know what I mean? And so it's been really fun. It's been really interesting.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's weird, man. Cause like, I know like even with the social feeds, like you'll never see me smoking or anything on anything ever.
No, of course not.
And I get paranoid just when people do hashtags with my glass name on there with they're using my glass, but it's times are changing, so I think the whole perspective is going to definitely change over the next couple of years as we go through this process, and it's pretty good. But I guess it comes down to the fact that we give a fuck and we're good parents. So
Well, man, and look, it's like anything else, with the skill set. Like after it was last summer, and I'm like really right when I got back from Toronto, man, and I decided, what, I'm gonna respect pipe making. Like I want to get better at it. Like it's not a matter of like I said, it wasn't just a matter of revenue stream. It was just like, if I'm gonna have this body of work in my portfolio, I want it to be the absolute best I can. And like, I'll just caution everybody for the next like probably like 2 minutes. It's gonna sound like I'm doing some sort of weird name dropping. But it really was just my last year, straight up. So like, when I was in June, I do a show in Milwaukee called Beat and Button, and Paul Steffen and Devin Somerville, shout out to Crunk and Micro, are both out there, and they're old friends of mine, and they're titans in the pipe game. So but we always hang out, things like that, man. I don't really do too many collabs because it's just not my wheelhouse. You know what I mean? But I've always respected their work, and we're more friends than like business colleagues, as it were. When I was out there, they hit me up with the chance to do the Madison Glass Roots show though in October, and I jumped at it, man. I was like, yeah, man, you guys got some extra space in your booth, man. Let's do this thing. And so I geared up and I did what I thought was a pretty nice body of work, and took it out there. And it's beyond humbling to do. Like, it wasn't my first pipe show. I've been to an AGE before, but it's my first time in years, like probably 5 or 6 years, and really bringing work that I was proud of. And here's the booth setup. It's Paul, Stefan, Devin, and Eugene on one side. Matt S. Cookie guy, his buddy Reese Behrens is there with the cookie caps. On my other side is Dan Neff and Philip Vogelpohl, and I have the booth right in the center, right? And I brought a lot of flower pieces to a show that was kind of geared more towards concentration things. So I know I didn't really bring the right product line, but just looking at the stuff that was possible, man, like I'm right across from, Jay with the Evil Empire, Germ is around the corner, and I'm not trying to drop names. That's just really where my booth was. So like I'm just looking at like the highest of highest end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jason Howard's over, and he has some of his spirit bowls. I'm messing up the name, but I feel like everyone's familiar with the body of work. His prayer bowls. Jason Gordon is around the corner, man, with his huge Boro flare outs, and I'm just surrounded by like guys who, again, like I'm friends with these guys, but we're not like work colleagues like that. And so I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, this is just fascinating, and I'm doing it wrong. I think I'm doing this wrong. I need to fall back and figure out what I really want to do and make sure I have this, like, just if I want to get into pipe making, really respect the craft. And so I had a chance to spend a couple extra days afterwards in Micro's studio working with him and Germ, and they kind of took me under their wing, like, dude, seriously, like, you don't know how to do a 14 millimeter? Look, homie, let me help you. You know what I mean? It just really sat me down. I got my really first like decent milli encasement lesson, not from Paul, man. Like, he didn't sit me down like a student. He was just like, homie, look, man, let's work together. Here's some of my chips. And I'm like, dog, I don't even, like, are you serious? Because let me make sure I know how to use these. And he's like, let me show you how to do this shit. And it wasn't just like, it just felt so good being able to work with good friends who I know that I can trust and respect, and they put me on. So then a couple months afterwards, I was teaching out in Virtue Flameworks and had a chance to catch up with Jeremy again up in Philadelphia, and working with him and Filthy Rich and Slinger, man. And just, I spent a couple days in their studio and just crushed with them, man. And I'd never been in like that large of just dedicated pipe making studio and see what all goes into it as far as the cold working and the photography, man, and just the total package that you have to present. It's not just making a nice functional piece anymore. If you really want it to be seen and really have it respected for the craft, you have to put in that time. You have to take those pictures. And like, honestly, you got to hit those hashtags if you want to get it out there. And I learned a lot about just the craft of making a pipe and also pipe making culture.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating, man. It blew my mind. And so now I love it, man. Like I have a lot more respect for not just, I felt like I dabbled before and just kind of messed around locally, but now I feel comfortable and confident enough to say that, no, I'm a pipe maker. I have pipes in my portfolio. And a lot of it is because I just took the time out and sacrificed that time away from family, worked with some good friends, found people I trust to just, work with me and kind of get me through like the rough patches. Cause I didn't show up like, guys, I don't know what I'm doing. How do I work this torch? It's more like, all right, cool. So when you're doing that with the hand torch and pushing that in, that's not an ice pinch like an old school bong. That's where you're going to pop out and do your dedicated seal for your rig. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So just little things like that, man. Just like the subtle nuances that I hadn't worked on because I've been busy working on like 7 different shapes of wine glasses and stuff for the last 5 years. So it felt good to be able to kind of just get out there on the road and just really feel, just kind of pay some respect to the craft of pipe making. It was great.
Yeah, man. But you know what? None of that shit would have been possible if you didn't have the past experience you've had of the trials and errors and also your foundation that you have with your glass. Because, like, 100%. Joe Blow walks in there and they're, like you're saying, they're like, I'm fucking I'm lost.
No. And that's the deal, is that's why I had to treat it like that, man. I didn't want to just jump into it like, yeah, what's up? I'm making pipes. Like I've always made pipes. I've never not made pipes. Mm-hmm. I just am now more publicly doing it. And if I'm going to publicly put myself out there, I want those seals clean.
Yep.
I want that tight. I want it looking good because I want it to reflect the same craftsmanship and attention that I bring to my entire body of work.
Yeah,
I don't
man.
want to make,
Absolutely.
I don't want to make amazing, amazing martini glasses or like really, really tall flared pilsners that hold buckets of beer if I can't get a simple junction seal or Dura seal right to set that down stem. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
it's because it's all the same to me. It's all glass, and that's what it comes down to, man. We talked about this, coming full circle in the first episode. I never got into it to be any one kind of product. I just wanted to be a talented, hopefully resourceful, and able glassblower, so that I can walk into a situation and say like, "Oh, what we making today? Pendants? All right, cool. What torches? What colors? What are we doing?" And just go with it. I don't want to feel like limited. Like, there's a lot of guys out there who make amazing rigs that can't make a spoon, they can't make a bead, they can't make an implosion, and I'm not knocking that hustle because they make way nicer rigs than me. All I'm saying is that's not the path that I'm in, and I definitely respect the path of the whole flame worker, someone that can get in the studio and get anything done on any given day. And you're going to excel at different things, of course, because you're more passionate about different things. But if you're putting forth a body of work, I want the whole body of work to reflect the same craftsmanship. I don't want to have a weak link.
No, absolutely, man. Like thinking about it, it's like being like just driving in your car. You can't just get in your car and just turn on the ignition. You got to know how to use your blinkers, how to use the brake, how to use the gas, how to use all your mirrors. I mean, everything, and how to maintain that motherfucker at the same time, or it ain't gonna work.
Exactly.
And, I agree, man. The glass is the same way, and I do. I have respect for the cats that can come out there and in 6 months are making amazing multiple sectional rigs and recyclers and shit. I mean, more power to you. But how long is that shit going to last? Are you going to be able to last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years just by doing that, Man, it ain't going to happen.
And there's so many variables in the community, you know what I mean? And I will say this, and, I guess I'm saying it on record. We're recording this. I think that the scene of pipe making is going to change again pretty drastically over the next 5 years. And I definitely think that we're at one of the higher points. Now, everything is cyclical, so even if it comes down, everything's going to come back up again. But I definitely think we're coming into like the higher side of the cycle, and it's going to be interesting what happens at the lower end of that wave. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just, I don't know, man. And I'm not trying to be like doom and gloom or like, I always feel like, particularly like online, man, I always feel like old man devil's advocate now, where I'm just like, oh, you kids, watch out. But I'm like, nah, seriously, form a business plan now. Like I had to, because of the necessity of my life and with my son and everything, I had to develop a plan that was going to work, or at least get to a place where I thought it was going to work. I couldn't just haphazardly blow glass. I never was at a point where I could just haphazardly blow glass and just see what happened. I always had to be working towards a purpose, like from day one. And so I know I come from a different background than like a lot of people in the industry then. And so like, that's why I always feel weird when I'm just like, yeah, man, just if you plan a little bit now, it's going to be easier in the long run. Like have a couple, we talk about it all the time, man, have a couple tools in your toolbox. Don't be the one trick pony. Don't have something you're really good at, hone it, get it right, and then move on to something else. And just know that like nothing is forever at all.
Yeah. Yeah, man, and I want to have the skill set so that when the shit does hit the fan, like when our electrical grid system goes down, I can make, jars and stuff for the farmers so I can trade it for cow's milk and meat.
Dude, there's glass blowers at Ren fairs, bro, for a reason.
Oh, that's where I got my start.
The blacksmiths.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly, dude. We had our lamp working, like we had a soft glass guy there too, but we had us lamp working at the Ren Fest. We had the silversmith next to us, we had the metal guy next to him, and then we had the soft glass guy, and it was all the old school trades.
And it's like, yeah, between all, like, I mean, without being grandiose, I guess you don't have to have us to rebuild society, but it certainly makes drinking cups easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely.
It is
Big
hard
time.
to make a cup out of a rock.
Yeah. And your hands have little slits between your fingers and you lose it.
Exactly, man. It's more expensive to make them out of metal. You don't want to use that. You want shields and shit. You don't want to use cups out of metal.
Yep.
Call the glass blowers.
Yeah, exactly. Hell yeah, dude. Exciting.
But yeah, man. And going back to that feeling of like, as far as being like a cranky old man online, I feel myself turning into one. And so like, I'm looking forward to this England trip because I contemplated for a while just not bringing my phone with me at all. My wife's got a phone. I got iPads. I mean, where am I going to go? I'm in a small town called Uttoxeter. Man, I just killed that name. It's a small town outside of London. It's not like I'm going to get lost. But I'm actually going to bring my phone, but I'm just going to pick up a new SIM card while I'm over there. And I'm going to unplug just a little bit. For the business side, I'm going to still be posting pictures and kind of keeping my friends and fans updated with just safety and just cool inspiration. But I'm deliberately staying out of all like glass discussion groups, sales groups, all that, man. Because like I'm not going to be home to ship stuff, so I don't need to sell anything. And yeah, the internet I feel like was making me into a cranky old person, particularly when I start talking about pipe making. So I'm looking forward to that break.
Yeah, man. I with this fitness group I'm in. It's a Facebook based group, so I've been on Facebook a lot more lately than I have been the past 5 years, really.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same boat. I'm like, man, I bite my tongue and hit delete and select all delete so many times on paragraphs that I've written.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, I could post that, but then like, is it worth it? Is anybody gonna actually listen to that?
Exactly. Or like the maintenance of it, because that like no matter how clear you try to be, someone is going to misconstrue it, then someone's going to purposely misconstrue it, and then now your phone battery's half dead. It sucks.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a great transition for a plug that I want to get you on involved as well as for our community and stuff. So I've been past 3 months now, which it's officially live, but I've been part of beta testing for this new social media app called Hello. It's spelled HEILO, and it's audio based. It's like an audio Twitter, more or less. You get a minute to post a recording of some sort. And one of the best things about it is there's no hiding your emotions. There's no having to put an emoticon on how you're trying to express what you're saying. You can tell what the fuck that someone's trying to say by listening to the inflection and their voice.
I like the sound of that.
And my favorite thing about it so far, I mean, I post all kind of fucked up shit on there, just whatever, just for the beta testing. We're all like going through all the first of what, like I was like, here's today's challenge. Who's gonna be the first to hello from the pooper? And then like 5 minutes later, someone was doing it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but I think what the beauty of this whole app is going to work out is that you can connect links to your Instagrams, to pictures and whatever. So like imagine that you made your most favorite piece you've ever made, and you can verbally talk about what went into this piece. You can describe it, you can talk about it, you can give your experience of what went into it, maybe the couple times it took you to get to this piece because the first two cracked, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have an image below it of that actual item with a link to your website, which I think everybody needs to have a website, but if you don't have a website, you can have your Instagram link on there or whatever. And those that don't know, Instagram has a website. So if you want to post a link to your image through Instagram, just go to the fucking website and copy and paste a website link. And there's not a I'm the only glass artist on there as far as I know right now, but I think it's going to be a huge way for our industry and community to transfer into this new app because of the ability for us to talk and share and just chit chat. It's also a killer way to fucking talk to somebody without having to text them. You can actually leave a one-on-one direct message with a like I can send one to my wife, say, "Hey, honey, I'm going to the store. What do you need?"
Yep.
And she can audio back to me.
That's actually, I'm like, I'll tell you now that when we wrap up, I'm going to download it and then share it over to my wife because I automatically thought of the store, bro. So
yeah, totally, dude.
Just like basic stuff, like any app that helps me with basic life and I can promote myself or marketing the brand, I'm in.
Well, the fun thing about it, it's like there's a couple on there and they're high-end cocktail creators, and they have a whole business. It's all about helping restaurants design cocktails for their menu. But before the app went live, it was around 2.5 minutes is how long we had it. So they were posting full stories on a history of a specific, like they did one on Japanese whiskey. I had no idea whiskey's been around for almost 2,000 fucking years from Japan. And they were saying the best thing about the whiskey from Japan is the fact that it is this old that they've got their shit down, where like American's whiskey is several hundred years old, but it isn't as fine-tuned as the stuff you get from over in Asia. And I would have never known this unless they had their freaking thing on. This guy's talking about this cocktail. He gave the full ingredients, and then his image, he had a link on there to their website. They had the full list of ingredients, the whole 9 yards. If you're a restaurant, you can use it, talk about new menus. If you're a business, I mean, it's the possibilities with this app are endless. It's freaking awesome. Like I went to the beach yesterday, laying out by the beach. I recorded the sound of the waves. If it, just silly shit. It's just stuff that I think for the human experience, audio, visual obviously is amazing, but the audio experience I think touches our soul more so than visual because of it's in our head experience. So back on hold. There you weird.
Someone FaceTimed at me. That's all.
Okay. But I think it's probably my favorite thing about the whole process of this app is it's a brand new experience, but it really is a full human experience. It's not just posting some shit on your Facebook or ranting about something, because on here you can rant. You can, and people are going to be able to understand what it is you're saying by the inflection of your voice.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody go check it out. HEILO. If you have a Droid, the app will be available probably 3 to 6 months.
Oh, nice.
But if you have an iPhone, it's available for iPhone iTunes.
Nice, man. I'll definitely check that out, man. Plus, I like to get in like ground floor stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm telling you now. Because you're showing out for 2 weeks, so get it now.
Cool.
Yeah, I've actually got some guys of the Zen Dude Fitness group. I mean, I told those guys the same thing. I'm like, y'all need to get in here because you can do your Zen Dude Fitness tip of the week or tip of the day because all you get is a minute, So
exactly.
You can have your...
that'd be pretty awesome. I mean, and man, it's just there's so many different platforms now that like there's literally something for everyone. Like especially like Helios. I mean, if that's audio based versus like Snapchat versus Twitter. Like whether you like to listen, look at pictures, or read words, like the message can get out there, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think what it's all come down to is to where your tribe is where you need to be. Like Instagram for us is huge because that's where everybody's at. I mean, Facebook maybe kind of sort of, but Instagram's where it is. Twitter, they're not really there anymore, like they were. Twitter's gonna be. I guess I just heard the other day that Twitter actually just announced that they just picked up Thursday Night Football. So we'll be able to actually stream live on Twitter football games now. And what they were saying, their problem they had was that their actual audience, they were having problems with them actually interacting with Twitter because they would say go to someone's post and then it would just end up at a website, not on Twitter. So now they're keeping the retention of their audience by keeping them on Twitter by watching football.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, interesting, right? So it's interesting. Social media is fun, but it's it's all encompassing. It's all used for business. It's just how you go about using it. And if you have a plan, then make it work.
Yep.
And if you don't, then make it happen anyways.
Exactly. Get over it. If it doesn't, get over it and figure out something else, man. Keep it moving.
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of also with your post, the Grumpy Old Man post, your $400 a pound over the summertime post yesterday had me rolling, dude. I was like, yes, exactly. That's what this industry needs.
I'm like,
even if it was sarcasm, it was the truth.
Look, okay, and here's the deal. Like, I'll just voice this out real quick, man. I 100% meant it, but I also realized how crippling that would be for the beginner. I realized that, and I know that it would basically be a really, 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 it would be a really rough time for some teachers. It would be rough for bead shows. It would be hard on suppliers.
Hey, Rashan. Hey, man. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Hold on 1 second, bro. I got that.
Look, man, do your thing.
Okay. So, as we were saying, about the post on Facebook.
Oh, man. I forgot. Man, if color were $400 a pound for like 4 months, I'm being facetious, man, because I don't even know how to describe this. If it were 400 pounds for a couple months, it would stabilize our market and it would cut down a lot of the complaining. But like I say that to say this, I only subject myself to that complaining because I choose to go on Facebook groups and subject myself to it. So like real world, there's flame workers who like right now are going to be listening to this and will thankfully have no idea what we're even referring to.
Yep.
But basically, I had put forth in a beginner forum called Torch Talk that if color were $400 a pound for about 4 months, it would force a lot of the beginners who are hiding their bad seals with hype colors to improve their seals. It would form better communication between like customers and flame workers because you'd have to explain to people why that all slime or all Lucy blue rig is $8,000, like because the color is $400 a pound. Like they're just those conversations I think would be healthy because it would kind of just force the pipe industry to kind of look at itself. But I don't know, man. Like I'm not trying to block anybody else's money. I have a lot of really, really like close personal friends who are quite frankly, man, like living lives that they'd always dreamed of because of the fact that pipe making is seen such a transparency. I'm not going to say like it's got bigger. It just got more transparent. Yep. There are more people willing to talk about it and spend money on it, etc., publicly, and that has been great for them. And so I'm not trying to block anybody's dough. All I'm saying is that like I'm coming at it from just an educator. As an education side, the misinformation I have to fix from people coming into my studio who think they know what they're doing in a beginner class is astonishing. It is amazing. And it is invariably, oh, well, man, I saw this on YouTube, or I was in this one group and this one guy said this one thing and he must know more than you. And I'm like, he probably does, but we're at my studio and you're paying me for a lesson. So like, I can't teach you his method.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fun. I'm glad you said that because, like, myself personally, over the summertime, I'm going to be launching a mentorship program, like one-on-one weekend classes
Yeah.
for either beginners or those that want to get started to try to help, I guess, establish a strong foundation for those that want to start. But it's also going to be one of those things where I'm doing it during the summertime because I want you to come to my studio and sweat your fucking ass off and understand that this shit sucks sometimes, and that this is the reality. This isn't just a fantasy. This is like, we're not at Disney in the fucking princess castle watching these guys blow glass like I do at Disney in the air conditioning where I'm spoiled. This is like the real life of like the hustle and the hard work and the sweat and the blood and the cuts and the burns. So have fun. And if you want to do this, then you're going to want to invest in yourself a little bit more so now before you go spend the $4,000 to $5,000 on equipment. And then all of a sudden you're like, fuck this. And then you got to sell it for half as much because nobody wants to pay you full price. So that's kind of where I'm at, because I agree, dude. There's so many outlets now for people that want to teach, and there's so many outlets that are teaching people the wrong fucking thing.
Yep. No, man, and it's just so darn frustrating, bro. Like it's just for me, and I realize that it is because I am an educator, and there's a couple other people like I talk openly with us about there's a guy named Robert Kinchlow. He's in Virginia, and he's another he's a well-rounded flame worker. He has a very wide knowledge of glass, and he teaches a lot. And so I don't want to call it a problem. I'm going to say this issue is only apparent for me because, like I said, because I subject myself to it via social media, and because I talk to other instructors about it. And it's not just glass. This happens in this happens in math, science, sculptural forms, metalwork, automotive. Like word of mouth in the apprenticeship system has really been lost in this country, and the internet is trying to supplant that, and there's so much bad knowledge that's just what happens. And so occasionally, I do get frustrated, and I do pop off, and I say shit like that, and I offend people. And within that post, I had some dude I don't know flat out say like, oh, it's funny that you're talking about clean because I went on your page and your work isn't very clean. And I'm like, all right, man, like, are you talking to me? Like, what do you, like, not in a condescending way or like a rude way, like, you talking to me? But I'm like, are you actually saying that to me? Well, cool. Let's talk about it. What piece are you talking about? And he showed the picture of a 14 millimeter male joint that I had done, I don't know, probably about a month ago that, like, I wasn't really happy with, and it was just in the background of another picture. And I was like, oh, yeah, pipe making. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm totally learning that. Like, that's not my wheelhouse, and that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not talking about any one product. I'm talking about just a bad weld is a bad weld, man. Whether it's on a scientific apparatus or it's on a marble punny or if it's a dot on a bead or a sex toy, which I saw a lot of shitty those in that group. Like, just,
that's
bad,
the worst.
Bad glass is bad glass, man. And by bad, I don't mean bad person making it and your career's over. I mean, hey, what you're doing is going against the known way that medium functions in strength.
Yep.
And it's not me. It's not me telling you that. It's just science, man. And I don't know what to say.
Well, yeah, no, totally, bro. And that's part of what my whole premise of the show was to kind of bring some unification across the board for everybody to be on the same page about how we all learn. Technique, the way that things, the terminology, the whole nine yards. I mean, there's got to be some kind of cross the board, unison of everything coming together, because there's so many wrong ways of doing this. And I know myself personally, which I'm sure, as long as you've been doing this, I've gotten away with a lot of shit over the years because we didn't have all this color that we have now. I was just got lucky, I guess. But now that there's all this new color and the way we got to work things, I've had to pay attention to make sure stuff isn't going through kiln cycles for too long, that things are in a certain flame setting, the whole nine yards. And this was really stuff that my brother, who's been doing this now for about 5.5 years, he made me pay attention to, because he's a newer glass artist, but he really himself pays attention to that kind of stuff, because he's making really good fucking money. He's like obsessed with color and millis and shit. He's just going crazy, but his work is super clean, and he's taking classes and stuff, but he's got that I gave him the foundation. I'm not going to say he's successful because of me. He's successful because of the hustle, but he's also successful because he's taken the time to sit down and read and learn and become knowledgeable on the right shit, not going on and watching a video of some newbie making this piece with this new color that, oh, this is how you do it. This is not how this shit works. So what I've been thinking about lately, probably the past month or so, is I'm going to get a hold of Bandu and talk to him about, because his books to me are the foundation of our industry, of not just pipes but glass in general. He's like one of the first cats to really have this novel of knowledge it's 3-book series that he's got about coming up with some sort of like certification for people to earn to teach that will say, okay, if you have this certification, you're qualified to teach. That way people will know by going to this person, you've been approved by the glassblowing world of gods or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that you have that you have a skill set to teach. Because I know a lot of great, amazing glassblowers that are not good teachers. And not everybody can teach, and that's the space I'm in now. Like I'm in the more of the educational space, like you're saying yourself. I haven't done much glass work for myself in probably 6 months. I mean, this whole week is going to be catch up on orders I've been waiting around to get done.
Yeah.
Most of my glass I do at Disney. Like most of your glass you're doing is marbles and wine glasses and other things, or teaching. So, but I think if we had something like that in this industry, where like, okay, we set up somewhere around this country, or just certain of us are licensed, quote unquote, to teach this specific certification, which then allows that person to then become certified to then teach. That way people aren't teaching shit, they're teaching a good strong foundation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally.
I
love Bondu's books as well. I tend to use them as historical reference. I use them as as a really good overview of the glass industry, setup, things like that. I also add in for my beginners, my sister's name is a chick named Jillian. She's really awesome. So I'll mention her name once because she's cool. By Jigs Glass. Her education is largely based on both Bondu's books, but a lot of it is also Homer Hoyt's glassblowing the original one, only because she's primarily a solid worker. And since I don't sculpt, I had to find a way to be able to teach her about glass and also keep her interested in it, because she's not really into the hollow form as much. She does pipe making stuff, but she likes doing disc flips and solid sculpture stuff. And so I picked that. I think that those two books in companion work really, really well. But either way, yeah, man, the idea of a certificate system, mostly because, look, if someone shows up in one of my advanced classes and they're like, man, yeah, I got a beginner certificate from Jason Bergholzer, I'm like, just to a certain extent, I know that I can turn my back on that student for a minute, and they're not going to light their shirt on fire.
You're right, exactly.
And as a teacher, that's often all I need.
Yep. Absolutely. No, dude, totally, because it allows you to focus on other people.
people, for me as an instructor, there's, of course, a difference between beginning, intermediate, and advanced. But, on a certain level, if you just don't know something about glass, or you're learning a new technique, but I can safely, turn my back to do something and you not light your shirt on fire, you're pretty much intermediate in my book, almost, man. If you can efficiently walk into a studio, light a torch, procure materials, and begin working, you know what I mean? Have some semblance of order in a studio, you're beyond the beginner level. For me, when I say beginner, I'm typically mean true novice, and a lot of that is the kids program. I mean newbie, wee kid beginner when I say beginner. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So certificate program would definitely, as an instructor, would make me feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it goes on the lines of, again, with this industry. We're an industry, but we're such a new industry that the welders and the plumbers and the electricians, these guys are all certified. They've had to go through some sort of classification. They've had to go through an apprenticeship program. They've had to become journeymen, the whole 9 yards. The traditional way of learning a trade was, where it's a trade. Being a glass artist is a fucking trade, no doubt about it. Depends on what you're doing with it, but it's a trade. So we should treat it the same exact way. And then eventually there'll be a guild or a union of some sort we can establish that will then protect us as artists of what we do, whether it's legalization issues, whether it's, whatever. Because we're about to get into a point now, like I talked with Luke Zimmerman, where we're going to potentially have liability issues with our customers who can get hurt using our product.
Dude, yeah, man, particularly okay. And just, man, it's a 420 episode, so I'm trying to keep it, at least relating to, at least pipe making for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Man, pipe making is, let's just say, at the basis, it is a craft or trade. It is for sure. There's no denying that. If you put in the time and build the market, you absolutely can feed yourself and perhaps others with it as a job. It is a product that you don't have to know anything else about glass. You don't have to make marbles. But if you can make pipes and dedicate yourself to it, you actually could form a business and actually, and do something with it as a job or trade.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the only trades, though, that doesn't have any kind of certification program. Seriously, if a plumber came to your house and he'd never plumbed before, you'd throw him out, dude.
Yeah,
If the
exactly.
electrician showed up at your door and was like, "Nah, I've actually never done this, but I do have all the tools necessary, and I've watched several YouTube videos, and I'm very active on Facebook," you wouldn't let him touch your circuit
No,
breaker, man.
exactly. Yep.
but all over the country, there's shops bringing in glass because like, and God bless local beginning flame workers. I am one as far as pipe making, man. Like 90% of the pipes that I make stay in my local city. Shout out to Just Urban. Sorry for all these product plugs, Jay.
Hey, dude, tear it up. I don't care.
but like, but like, yeah, man. I definitely understand the need to feed your family and also expand in glass. And I'm not trying to fault the shops, but that's why, like, going back to that post when I said like, $400 a pound, there's certain things that can be done to kind of just solidify and stabilize this industry really quickly. And like any kind of certification program, and then pipe shops saying like, yeah, if you're not fucking at least bronze star rated by your peers, I can't possibly, like, I don't want that glass in my shop yet. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
keep working because you're trying to get that platinum star. But like, if you're not at least, and then you become a tier system where like, like your highest of high end galleries, that's going to be your platinum level. And like, guess what? We have platinum level glass here. And I'm just using that like as a quick branding tool. But that would be the easiest way because then it gives the average pipe maker something to shoot for, a defined destination to get to. And unfortunately, all this organization we're talking about directly flies in the face of the average pipe maker because you get into pipe making because fuck rules and fuck the man.
Yep,
Like,
exactly. No, totally, dude. I agree 100%. Yep, and then we got to become
deal with all that.
Yeah, you have to, and then you got to be able to be like, okay, now I need to take this shit seriously and still say fuck the man, but
it's all about turning the corner, man. And I hate to be like, the word adulting is so big right now, but like, you start out as a baby flame worker, man. Your first year in, and then you kind of learn to walk, and you're wobbly, and then you get your teenage wheels, and you start tearing up shit, and that's if you respect your glass career the way you do like any other kind of maturation. It just makes sense, man. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of adult in your glass career too, and eventually get to a point where it's like, yeah, man, like I can keep being reckless and burning through all this material, or I can just decide I'm gonna get good at this.
Yep, exactly.
And that's like, man, like, okay, I'm not even gonna say their names. I don't even know all the guys. Shout out to Sherbert, who originally did the original pencil dabber.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blown away because I can hop on Instagram right now and find 4 guys who only make pencil dabbers. They don't even make pipes.
Yeah.
They don't even blow glass. They just have torches and they make this one product. And regardless of how you feel about the ripping off the ideas or whatever, I'm talking about simply from a business point of view. That just shows the power of glass if you dedicate yourself to a product set.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he created a niche, and that niche he cannot personally himself supply the demand. So it makes other businesses out there supply the demand as well. Yeah, it's killer. Yeah, I agree. It's like the whole idea of like in the kitchen when you're at a restaurant, and like these. I love food and I love going to high end restaurants. I have no problem spending $400 on a meal. I mean, it's just the way I am, and I know when I go spend that money, dude, it's a fucking experience. And when you get a glass pipe from somebody, it needs to become an experience, something you're going to cherish and understand that this is what went into this piece. And if it was made by a sous chef, that experience is going to fucking suck. You know what I mean? Or a line cook, exactly. You want it made by a 5-star chef. So
that's why, like, damn it. Sorry. That's why you're paying the money, man.
Yep.
That was the jump in price. All of a sudden people were like, damn, it's not just the concentrate market. It's the quality of the glass has gotten better. But then all of a sudden everyone like fell in line behind that and the quality didn't raise.
Yep.
Like, it's I don't know, man. It's mind-boggling to me. And the reason why I try not to talk about it, I'm happy to talk about it in this forum, man, because this is public and this is going to be heard by other pipe makers. I'm not trying to block anybody's money. I just want everyone to be well-rounded glass blowers, and I realize that that's a very simplistic, like very me-centric thing. That's what I want for myself, so I'm projecting it on y'all. So I apologize. It's just I see so many talented people that I'm like, dude, if you could make 80 symmetrical pencil dabbers in a day and then have the wherewithal to go through your PayPals and coordinate it all and get it to the post office, bro, you ship better than I do. I want to learn from you. Come learn glass blowing from me. I want to learn where you got the drive to do that shit because we can all learn something from each other when glass is a business. If it's a business, it's a business, and not everyone's ready to be a business.
Yep.
I see people, and that's also I'm talking to people who have chosen to be a business, man. I don't know everything about it, and so that's why I'm choosing to learn. And yeah, I see people out there making amazing business decisions with terrible glass. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yep, 100%. And it's Yeah, man. The dichotomy in this industry is so strange. You know, I find myself like trying to think about hiring people. You know, like a scaling the business, and do I really want to scale my business and make it big and make it a production facility and have employees and shit? And sometimes that dream's like, yeah, man, that'd be amazing. But then I think about it too, and it's like, well, if I do that, I don't want to be the one running it. I need to hire somebody to come in to be my studio manager or my CEO or whatever, because I can do it. I'm a leader naturally, but when I've got, again, like over the summertime, too many things going on, they all fall apart. So you got to hire somebody that is better than you at certain tasks. You know, things you suck at, you should hire somebody to do that job. Like I brought my assistant on board to help me with my packing and my shipping. He's been on hiatus for a couple months, so I've been back to sucking at shipping again. You know?
And you know, and it's one of those things that, like, you know, one of the adulting, you know, quote unquote things I'm having to learn is that, you know, particularly because I do a lot of shows, a lot of teaching engagements, and there's a word I picked up a couple years ago, man. There's motivation and there's showtivation. Motivation are things that are good ideas you move on, and showtivation are things that seem like really good ideas while you're like on a trade show floor or you're out of state, like working on a collab project or something that seemed good in the moment, but when you go back and try to really apply it, it's not so much. And I'm real guilty of showtivation, and that like I will overextend myself broadly in a show, like, yes, I'll teach there and let's do this, this, and this. And ultimately when I get home and look at the paperwork and things like that, I'm like, man, cool, but then when will I have time to blow any glass myself? And that, because if I don't blow glass myself, I'm not going to be an effective teacher and a happy person. So this isn't, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so that's something that I'm having to scale back with, man, and just say like, nah, I can't do every single thing I want to, because what ends up happening is projects that I really, really care about end up kind of like lingering when I should be able to jump on them right away.
Yep.
And I'm used to being able to jump on them right away. A lot of my customer service locally with my friends is based on the fact that all my friends think that I am their personal glassblower, and I'm totally fine with it. I've built a business that lets them take me for granted like that. Like, if you check with any of them, they'll assure you that pretty much all I do all day long is drink beer and occasionally wait around for one of them to place an order. Seriously. And while it's not like that, I'm happy that customer service-wise I've been able to create that experience. But now as my business has grown and we're moving into other avenues, it's becoming like less – I'm less able to be hands-on involved with the day-to-day catch-ups. Like, I used to be able to like take a picture of every single process of a project and send it out. And now if I stop and do that, I'm cracking something or I don't have time for something else. And it's just, that's what I'm learning. That's how I'm adulting as a businessman. Like, you know, coming back to like how the studio's grown and developed, a lot of the lessons I learned was that, like, you know, I was so used to doing everything and being everything at once that it's hard to say like, nah, I really can't. Like, I totally can't. I can only hit the post office once a week, because if not, I got to wait for my mailman, schedule delivery. Maybe he doesn't show up. I have a customer in Colorado right now that I've been working with on a cabochon project back and forth. And between like the hit and miss of my mailman and like her, like, it just, whatever, man, shit isn't falling together properly. And so I'm having to take a step back and say, look, if I don't shore up these things that are base ideas, like make a product, send a product out timely manner, then all this other stuff I'm building is going to crumble, because it all has to be based on that core.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, man, because like for a while myself, I was saying like, okay, Thursday is day we ship. If you order on Monday, you'll get your shit on Thursday, hopefully shipped. If you order on Friday, you got to wait a week to get it shipped. But this is when we ship. Because I'm so like, hey, I mean, I'm getting it out tomorrow, I promise. And my intention is there to get it out tomorrow. But like the other day, dude, I had fucking 2 boxes out front for my mail lady to pick up, and she didn't fucking grab them. You know, it's like, now I got to wait till today, which is like 2 extra days of shipping.
You know, like, things I'm thinking, like, all right, where my studio is, it's a live-work community. So there's like a leasing office. Leasing office is open 8 to 5, Monday through Saturday. So then even if I'm closed for any reason, which totally happens, I'm not like an unlocked door studio. Like, I have stuff to do. So, you know, the mailman leaves things there. Well, you know, allegedly, I schedule a pickup of a couple priority packages, and they're in the office waiting for the mailman. Well, if he's late or that girl's sick for 3 days, like just happened, now I have a box that looks like, I was like, yeah, I'm totally sending this out 10 days ago, but come to find out it didn't really leave for like 9 days. And I had no idea. Because my customers don't call me when they're like, hey, I got this. They'll usually only call if they don't get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't track every single package, because that's also not feasible. And so these are things that, like, you know, I don't know if it's a matter of hiring out or developing a better system or whatever, but like, you know, those are my admitted struggles right now. It's just trying to maintain the business. And, you know, the word you use, scalability, find out where I can scale and where I can outsource, because I'm never going to be on Shark Tank with High Desert Flameworks, man. Like, I'm not like, investable business.
Yeah.
I'm not an entrepreneur on this. I'm a freelancer. Now I have different things in the works going on, like the catalog service that can make me into an entrepreneur. But when it comes to actual time on the torch, there's no one but me doing that. So whenever I'm like we, us, they online, the grandiose, we here at High Desert Flameworks, I really just mean me and my wife's patience, and occasionally an assistant.
And that patience is huge.
there is no us, as it were, man. Like, I'm thankful for my assistant, but like ultimately it falls on me. So whenever I'm saying things like we will get it to the post office, I mean, like, man, I'm gonna take time out and probably skip the proper lunch I should have and go make this. But because I didn't get to the post office, but then I didn't eat lunch, so I might crack that thing later on this afternoon because I'm not focused. You glassblowers hear the rigmarole, man. I'm a real person. I do the shit you do. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, dude, we're all intertwined. And it goes on that same point of the saying yes or no to things, getting overwhelmed. Derek Sivers, if anybody doesn't know who he is, you ought to check him out. He was a guest on Tim Ferriss a couple times, but Derek Sivers is a really awesome, humble, wise dude, and he's like mid-30s or something. But one of his popular quotes, and he's known for, is the whole concept of if you're not saying hell yeah, it's a no. And this other guy took that whole concept of if it's not a hell yeah, it's a no. This guy, Mark Manson, took it. And his is, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. And his whole thing, he says here, he's like, the law of fuck yes or no states that when you want to get involved with someone new or something new, in whatever capacity, it must inspire you to say fuck yes in order for you to proceed with it. Otherwise, say no.
Yep.
Because you have no idea how many times I've said, yeah, let's do it. And then like the next day, something comes up that was even better or whatever.
Yeah.
More better, opportunity-wise, that I could have said no to the first thing and gotten that. But again, you don't know, because a lot of times people wait around for that one big moment to say yes to, and they say no to everything else. So it's
that's that adulting, bro. That balance.
Yep.
It's thankfully, we talked about this. The technology lets us be in different places at the same time. Lets us make decisions on the fly. I was joking with a couple buddies the other day online about like, fuck, I pushed the send button like 11 times in one day, man. I had a full day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, between like emails, text messages, messaging back and forth, and that really is work. And so like, once you get bogged down, it can make it hard to see those opportunities. And so it gets easy to say, no, I'm already in a groove. But that's the struggle of our industry, is trying to figure out, like, just, like we said, man, keep your head on a swivel so that you can kind of take advantage of as much as you can while still respecting the fact that you can't do it all.
Yep.
Hard.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Well said.
Yeah, man. The homie James Doshbaugh up in Bellingham put me on with that, man. Basically, it was it's an old philosophical statement, but it's he's the first one I got it from. It was take all that is yours, and that is one of my life mantras, man. And it's something that I have, like, it's like when I'm brushing my teeth, that's what I'm saying to myself in the morning. And not because if you know me as a person, I'm not like some really, really overly aggressive businessman. In fact, I'm quite the opposite. So that's not necessarily what I'm speaking to. I mean more like philosophically in life. I feel like everyone deserves a certain amount of happiness regardless of your situation. And thankfully, glass has brought me to a point of happiness where I'm able to literally travel the world with my wife, or go cross country to a studio just for the sake of working. Like, not even because I'm going to teach a class, but because I can go out there and do the same work I do at my home studio. I just want to take a break and work, but I still need to be able to work. And just, and you know as well as I do, man, that there's a very strong network of smaller studios across the nation that all work on word of mouth. And the fact is, I've had guys travel from Massachusetts to California, and they'll get to California, and it's like, they'll be at like Zolly's or working down with Salt in them, and it's like, well, I'm headed to New Mexico, and they'll be like, oh, well, check out Rashan at High Desert if you need a couple of days to work on your way places. And I refer people to other studios kind of down the way, and it's turned into such a blessing and humbling experience to be part of this community. But working at the level that I've put myself after 15 years, it takes a lot to manage it, and that's that balance that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, dude, and that 15 years is what it took to get you to the point to where you can say what you're saying now.
Yep.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like, sure, there's overnight successes, but like you and I, we're gonna probably be a 20-year overnight success. Yeah.
No. I've had a torch for 15 years, man. I've just been able to do this.
Yeah.
And it's not something that happened overnight. And there are people who have seen success faster, or like, you look at their careers, might have made different decisions with products or charge a different price point. But ultimately, I don't have any regrets about my business. I wish I did things differently, but I'm very, very happy with the life I've built for myself. And that's what I hope for every flame worker.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, because we have the ability to design it, But what I like about yours and your story is that yours isn't really pipe based. I mean, the pipe is what got you started. What taught you some skills. But you've gone through the struggle and the art world of being a jewelry artist in a sense, and also homeware and decor.
Yeah,
which is an even harder area and genre to get into.
It is, man, and it's like when I sit back and because I had to build a portfolio recently, and so I'm looking at like a lot of my different work over the years. It was because when they said glass artists might shut down about a month ago, I had a chance to go back through there and just re-archive some of my stuff, and I'm pulling pictures down, and I'm looking at it, and like I felt really happy with my body of work, man. And what's crazy though, going back to the business side of it, is a lot of it has been such like shotgun trial and error. It's not like I'm at home like, oh yeah, man, you know what? I should release a new martini glass today, and like I think that's what I'll do. On a certain level, it is like that, but like the amount of work it takes to get to being able to make that conscious decision, it took me 3 years to get that shape, man.
Yeah.
And whether that's a longer or short time, whatever, that was the path I took. I took a couple classes, a lot of trial and error. I'm messaging people who I respect in the field to get there, and that total experience over 3 years is what lets me sit back 3 weeks ago and be like, you know what? These are finally tight enough. Let's put these out. We'll take orders on these. And so it looks like a conscious decision, like an assassination, but it's really more like a shotgun blast, man. Like I got to keep my studio open. So like I'm all about finding products that will work. And so, I'm putting out ice cream bowls and ice cream dishes, and like, I'm just trying to find those unique products all the time. And it's not because I'm trying to shy away from pipe making. It's just like, man, there's a lot of really talented people over on that side. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not trying to put myself in a situation where even ego-wise, I have to compare myself to someone else's well-established body of work when they've been working in that field for so long. I'm more comfortable carving out a niche for myself and saying to my established fan base, like, hey guys, we're going to go into home decor. Like, we've done the pipes. You're rocking my pendants. You have rings and belt buckles, and, you got the terrariums from last season, man. We're already in your windowsill. Let's do salad bowls. Let's do rocks glasses. And, over time, my product line has developed with my customers. The guys that order my vases now are the same guys who used to order my pipes, 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And now they've bought homes and bigger and better homes, and some of them are doing really well. And so they don't want to just go to Pier 1. They want to holler at me like, I have a really, really good friend in San Antonio who was really one of the impetus for my martini line. And a local friend here, her name is Nancy, who they're the ones who are like, hey, now I get it with the rocks glasses and the pints, but like I don't even drink that. Can you can you do a martini? And to them, it's like, just make another shape. Make a mold, do whatever you do, do your magic and make it happen. But it started literally a 3-year journey, and like I've been very open and honest with them about it and said, hey, I'm thankful for you guys. And I made sure that the first time I had producible, sellable, first quality martini glasses, they got them because they're the ones who really pushed me in that path. And I love that. I love when my customers reach out to me and say, hey, like, this is awesome. Let's do this. Can you do this? I don't want to give Walmart money. I don't want to buy this at Target or Pier 1. Like, can you get on this? And it's like, yeah, man, I can. And that gives me confidence. It keeps the portfolio getting bigger. And so the minute my client base starts telling me that they want Illuminati-based, glow-in-the-dark UV recyclers, I will absolutely spend more time honing that.
Yep.
But for now, that's just not the market I'm in. And God bless everybody that's in the market because they're killing it right now. But that's just, I literally can't even afford to go into that market. Like I can't afford to neglect the people who've gotten me this far. And the people who like help pave the way to get me on this UK trip weren't people buying a lot of pipes flat out. It just wasn't. God bless the people that have, but that's not who got me here.
Yeah, I think for yourself, from what I'm hearing, is like your root of all this is that your ability to establish a relationship and then keep it and maintain it. It's so important.
Yeah, it is.
No matter what
Thank you for summing that up. That sounds better.
Yeah, there you go. All in like 3 words. You like relationships.
Exactly. I build rapport easy and enjoy working glass.
Yeah.
Let's have a career.
Yep. Dude, I mean, that's the best formula you can have for life. And what the fuck,
Yep.
I agree 100% because without the relationship, but it also comes down to the relationship you have with those people and them trusting you, which is what we all sell. The first thing we all sell is trust. If you can't be trusted, then nobody's going to want to buy shit from you. They're not going to give you money for anything. So yeah, that trust established, and then you can get your rapport with your clientele, and then they can come to you with new shit. Because like I'm the same way, man. Like there's so many times where I'm at a roadblock where I'm like not feeling very creative or something, and like some customer hits me up like, "Hey, could you do something like this?" And I'm like, "I would love to. Thank you."
Yes, please and thank you.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, why did the hell I didn't think about that before?
Exactly.
Kind of shit. So it's interesting, which I don't know. Go all of
it's the glass life, man, and and that's the thing, and that's with the work that you do, man. Working at Disney, also maintaining all your product lines. It's I sense the same kind of thing, man. Where it is all about balance and trying to find you're a talented flame worker, so you have the ability to kind of to not pick and choose in an elitist way, but pick and choose in a way that's best for your customer. What projects you take on, You know what I mean? And so that it's a really unique place to be, and I'm definitely thankful for that. And I look around the industry and I see a lot of guys at the top of their fields, and we talked about him before, man. My buddy Devin Somerville, he is an amazing flame worker. Captain Crunk, if you've never hit out of one of his tubes, man, just get familiar. But the fact is, he got there after years and years and years of being a talented flame worker, and that's the product that worked best for him. Now, when I talked to him, man, he was one of the first ones to really kind of push me into doing drinkware and stuff, about 10 years ago on any level. He does lighting, he does platters, he does amazing home installation kind of work that a lot of people don't necessarily know about because he does so well marketing-wise with Captain Crunk. But don't get it twisted. All these guys at the top of their field as pipe makers, they can all be making whatever. That's just the product that worked best for them. Mm-hmm. And so as a flame worker, man, find that product for yourselves, because that's what's going to find you that longevity. People always ask me, what's the longevity key? How do you stay in this industry? And it really is finding a product that works for your skill set, your client, and your pocketbook. And when you find that trifecta, stay in that vein and make that your bread and butter.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. And it's all about the foundation from the very beginning. If you have a strong foundation, then you can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Exactly. 100%. Oh, man. So, hey, can I ask you a couple questions real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, so how's this experience been for you, man? What? I know there's a lot. You're learning every day, but Jason, you're 100 episodes in, man. You started an idea almost a year ago, managed to bring in all your glass contacts, have top-notch content, man. I produce content. I understand what it means to be a content manager. And, you put out good stuff. It's not even just your guests. It's the marketing tips. It's the health tips. And, how does this make you feel, man? How do you feel right now? You're 100 episodes in, buddy.
Yeah, dude. It's been an amazing journey. I think for me, it just proves that when you can have a thought and then put it on paper and then you can manifest it. But you can only do it by actually taking actions. You can sit around and use the whole secret bullshit, which I think is kind of woo-woo and at times and doesn't work, but you got to take action. I'm not going to sit around and just daydream about shit. I'm going to take action. So it took specific things for me to get lined up just to get this thing started from day one, just to pick up the phone and be like, hey, dude, let's make this work. You and I first tried doing the Skype thing and that didn't work, so we went right to the phone.
Yeah.
So a lot of it has been similar to my glass, where at the very beginning it was all trial and error, and then it got to a point to where I can get a routine, I can learn the medium, and then I can make something. So this has been very similar, having to learn the editing process, learning oh fuck, I just deleted my entire conversation, I need to call you and re-record this, kind of thing. I did that a couple times,
Awesome. But not awesome for you, but awesome for the learning process.
Yeah, exactly. But I think in the long run, what's happened for me is a new form for me to connect with people on a personal level that are new in the industry. Because when I designed the show, my avatar, which when I was going through my quote-unquote training to learn how to do this, part of the process when you design anything you're doing in business, you got to think about who your client's going to be, your avatar in a sense. So my avatar that I designed was this dude, John, who was this 19-year-old fresh kid out of high school who wasn't really sure what to do with life, who was seeing degenerate art, had been following glass on Instagram. I had to write a story about him, to figure out who it was. And then the show launched, and the people that were responding to me was that person specifically, and to the detail. And it was exciting because it made me think and really, I guess, kind of reinforce, I guess, that what I'm doing was the right thing. Because it all started with an idea that I had back in like November of 2014, to where there's this podcast I was following, and the dude runs an organization in a group called Podcasters Paradise, which is all about learning how to do podcasting. But it was expensive as fuck to get in, so I didn't want to spend like $2,000 to be a member. So he did this little Twitter thing saying, hey, post a picture of yourself listening to my show, and we're going to pick our favorite picture, and then these are the 3 awards you can win. And the number one first prize was a lifetime membership to Podcasters Paradise. So I'm on the torch blowing glass. I take a picture of myself with my earbuds in, listening to the show. Next thing I know, out of like 3,000 entries, I win first fucking place.
Oh, nice.
You know, so I chose this thing. So that was what got me into learning the process of the podcasting and to design it. And then I designed it with the companies, my sponsors I wanted to bring on board, because I can't do this for free. It takes a lot of time out of my, to support what I do.
Of course.
And because I am an educator, I want to be able to monetize this down the road as well through education. So I had to think about sponsorships and all that shit. So like I wrote down who I wanted to come on as sponsorships, how they would actually work with the show, blah, blah, blah. And now, I mean, literally as of last week, it has all come to fruition 100%.
Awesome.
I've got Mountain Glass and The Flow now are both my foundational sponsors for the show. We're interworking with each other, which is going to help broaden the spectrum of the educational side even more so, getting this out to people. Because now I'm going to start doing a month or their quarterly magazine. So I'm going to start doing an editorial piece in The Flow magazine. Mountain Glass is now putting out CDs of my show. Instead of having live performances from Joe Blow down the street, band, they're actually putting out podcast episodes now to get in your glass.
Cool.
Just like super cool shit like that. So that part of it has been super amazing. On the personal side of this whole thing, it has been a clusterfuck, big giant ball of anxiety and stress for the first like 8 months of this. I mean, seriously, like I like we talked about before we hit record, like I really wanted to make sure that I said, okay, this show's coming out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because this is how the podcast world works. This is how I want this to happen. But because I, at the time, and I guess in a sense still am, the only glass podcast in the world in this niche. So it allowed me only up until January this year to realize that our industry works this way. Our industry works to where shit ain't always going to go as the way we think it's going to go. So if I don't produce 3 shows a week, or even if I don't produce 2 shows a week, the audience is going to forgive me. They're hungry for this content, so they're looking for new episodes, which is what is awesome. Like the download rates quadrupled what it was this time last year. When I first did the show. But that being said, I was very particular about keeping my word, and because of the amount of time I was spending, 30 plus hours a week on this show, at the same time, I had gotten my studio. I was trying to get a business going. I brought employees on, blah, 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 blah. And it all was like clusterfuck. I could tell listening back to some of my episodes during that time period, my energy was low. My interviews weren't as good. Like there were some things I was doing with the show that the quality wasn't as good as it could have been because everything around me was starting to suck. So it took me cutting the fat out of everything, cutting back on the show, really focusing and honing in on my bandwidth. We all have we only have a certain amount of bandwidth we actually can use, and you can't overuse your bandwidth, otherwise you explode like a computer. Mm-hmm. So it really through this whole process has really taught me on a personal level on how to really take certain tasks and focus on that task until completion. And dealing with ADHD, which I've been diagnosed this last year, officially being diagnosed with it, and now taking my medication and through health and diet and exercise, it's really come around this full circle where like last year was like, okay, I had to launch 3 major things. I knew they were going to be launched last year. And then at the end of the year, all the fat was trimmed away. They all planned out very smoothly, and then Disney calls me back up and say, hey, we need you back full time for a little bit. At like perfect timing, so it's been a huge lesson for myself of learning how to be.
Sorry, man, had a call come in.
Oh, it's okay. Just being like responsible, even more so than I've ever had to be, but also just fucking enjoying it, like not being so goddamn serious about everything all the fucking time. Like the fact that I'm right now recording a podcast episode is something that not a lot of people can say. So this is a huge opportunity and a blessing. This is awesome. I'm on the phone with Rashan Jones. I love you. This is a fucking awesome conversation. Seriously, the fact that I can go to my studio now and not be stressed the fuck out because I'm behind on. I'm behind a little bit right now, but before I was like 4 months behind on orders. I've had a couple collab pieces sitting in my studio for almost a year now that I'm tackling this week. So I just had to learn how to like make a list, how to get organized. There was my shrink or whatever I'll call her, my counselor I go to, introduced me to a book called Getting Things Done, and it's an amazing program on how to organize yourself in a really simplified way. He's got a ebook out, which you can actually go to audibletrial.com/wiseguy radio and get a free 30-day trial if you want to get this book for free. But it honestly, this book was the beginning of the catalyst, is what started to change my life in terms of the organizational side of things. Because it really made me take my tasks, because I had so many different things going on that I was like juggling all these plates, and all of a sudden they literally all crashed at the same time. And once that happened, I had to pick them up piece by piece and try to figure out, okay, what do I want to keep, what I don't want to keep, and it was a lot of lessons I learned. And then it's also allowed me to have this new creative outlet in this space as well. You know, I love music, I love recording, I love editing, so this is a whole new outlet for me to do as well. On top of the fact that I'm able to reach out and share my opinion, which I have a strong opinion, and like in my last episode, I may have said some things that offended some people, and I straight up said, I don't give a fuck. Sorry if this offends you. This is my show. I'm gonna say what the hell I want to say, and you can hit stop now if you're gonna become offended. So those kind of things have really been huge for me personally on a personal level, to have an outlet, to have a voice, to talk to this industry, to share stories, to get to know people in our industry, because I've been in Florida my whole life in this my studio, my cave, never really gotten out into the industry. So I'm getting to build and create relationships with artists who I've looked up to and respected for almost more than a decade now. So it's I don't know, it's just the whole dynamic of this whole process has been just awesome. And the fact now that I'm actually able to make some money, I'm not like making a living off of this right now, but I am. And
it's your job. It's part of your job.
Yeah, exactly. Totally, dude. And is leading in a direction to where I'm able to now start planning on initiating things like one-on-one mentorship programs, where I can bring newbies in and say, hey, this is what you should be doing to get set up. Or like I did an episode a couple weeks back on how to get set up for under $2,000. You know, things like that people need to understand, because I'm seeing all this help being asked for out there, and some of the answers are good answers. I'm excited to see like you and a lot of other guys out there that are coming on board, like at the Torch Talk groups, to help these newbies out with the proper information. But at the same time, I find like there's a group of us in there, like Chris Dickey had posted, asking about having another group for more advanced glass artists to talk about stuff. So I have a Wise Guy Radio group page. It's a private group page that I started when I launched the show that I haven't quite been using yet, but I'm going to turn that into the Advanced Glassblowing Tech Talk group.
Oh, you know, I saw you post something about that, man, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's super awesome.
Because
and like, you know, the thing with Torch Talk, I mean, man, I hate to focus on someone else's project so much, but I see so much potential in it, and I see the frustrations. The inherent problems are that the membership keeps evolving. So like, what's good is also what's bad about the group, because the guys who were like newbies a year and a half ago, and like I know their screen names and I remember the questions they were asking, are now like kind of being like the condescending jerks to like the newer people, and it just kind of keeps repeating itself, man. So I mean, but that's the internet. Yeah. So that's just how that works.
Yeah, I definitely see that trend, especially because when they first started, they were like, this is like a troll-free zone, and now you got the guys that were foundationally part of the new group of people came in there now that are being the trolls, being the assholes in there. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's only so much you can do being a monitor guy for a freaking Facebook group, that you can really monitor everything. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not that easy. So, but yeah, man, I definitely agree, and I think that the more this industry changes, the more we need this. We need this outlet. We needed somebody to talk about the shit that's changing. Because like even talking with like Box fans, he's coming out. I mean, you and I were talking. We're recording this like 2 weeks before this comes out, but you know, just for the behind the curtain thing, even though this is on 420 100th episode. But I got Box fan coming on next week, and his episode, and you know, we talk about that, like how much this society of glass artists needed another perspective and outlet now that we have this new technology. To where before it's been on paper and it was on YouTube. Now we have an actual audio experience where we can be in our studio, we can listen to it in our head.
Yeah.
You know, and which I think is also killer, because for the longest time, like yourself, we worked by ourselves in our studio, and it's always nice to have company. So why not have somebody talking about glass in your ear?
Yeah, you know, and it's, I don't know, man. We're just excuse me. It's just such a good time, such a weird time. I don't know. I look at it as just there's so much advancement and inventiveness being done, and so I try my best to just try and stay as positive as possible, and that's why like I'm conscious of the fact that like I'm becoming like a curmudgeon online. That's why I'm taking time off. Like you just got to kind of know yourself and your balance, and just know when you can add to a situation constructively and when you can't. And that's that's part of kind of up to me to decide. And that's that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I think what's fun though, man, is that we can be the old grouchy asshole that's telling all the kids to stay off our lawn. You know, I think we've earned that in a sense. You know, where it's like you're saying, some of these guys have been doing it for a year and a half are doing that, and they haven't earned that right yet to be a voice to come in and be like, no, that's bullshit or whatever. You know. So I think it just comes with the territory in a sense of the way things work. I don't know. But like you're saying, I agree too with what you're saying with this industry. You know, we're at a pivotal point right now where this industry is going to continue to grow, or it could potentially fall apart. You know, hearing horror stories of like the last Age and Champs. I'm not really Champs, but the last Age that just went on. You know, people were getting frustrated because they feel like they're wasting their money, and the trade shows are getting too big for their pants and shit. But then you have like Glassroots, which is, to me, the one trade show out of all the trade shows that I think people really need to focus on.
Oh yeah,
because they actually give a fuck. You know,
I'll give Nick and his team, man, a big plug, and here's why. You know, I went through a lot at that show, man. Like, you know, I kind of talked about it being like the impetus of me wanting to like just respect the craft of pipe making and then really invest some time in it. I went to that show, man, and I learned a lot. And not just about pipe making, but about glass in general. He invited me back for next year, so I'll definitely be back in October. And the funny thing for me, man, was like, yeah, most people who know me walked up to me like, yo, where's your drinkware? Like, yo, I want to buy a beer glass. And I'm like, I brought none. I do have these lovely Sherlocks for sale. What's up? So, like, I just misinterpreted the whole thing. And so now, having been there, they're so inclusive and supportive of, like, all kinds of glass. They're like, I'll probably bring a couple pipes because why not? But, like, yeah, I'm just bringing the full Jones at Home homeware collection in October, and it's going to be great. Like, it's going to be absolutely I expect to have a really successful show because it's just that show really, really does a lot to cultivate and kind of, when I say cater to, I don't mean in an egotistical way. I mean, literally, artisans need more hand-holding than the minute you put them into a business situation like a trade show.
Yep.
Like, we're not like insurance reps, and some of us might think like that, but not everyone's going to think like how to handle a trade show and handle their business. So that show has done a really great job of just nurturing some really, really, really strong careers up there, man. Like, for sure. And so it's great.
Yeah, I'm getting up there myself this year. I'm definitely gonna be a part of it. Yeah. I keep saying I'm gonna go to Age and whatever, but I don't know. I love the idea of going to Vegas and doing that whole madness out there, but it's just, I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy. I think I'd rather hang out up in Madison and do the Glassroots.
I've done a couple different trade shows, man. Like I don't even know if people know this, man. I totally have done like AGE and Champs and shit. I did AGE with the homie Doug Haroon from Gray Matter and a bunch of the Duke City guys. Probably about like, I don't know, it had to be like 6 or 7 years ago at the Alexis Park. And then Elaine and Eric got with Jody Grimmett the next year, and they had me over at the Rumor as the announcer for the AGE Awards. Man, like, personal note, I actually did such a poor job that I ended up taking a class in public speaking for about months after that. And now, man, like, I came back, I hosted the Sonoran Flame Off as the MC for a lot of years. I am a much better public speaker now. Like, it's so, while that was probably one of my worst times professionally actually speaking in public, I learned a lot, man. So thank you to, if anyone, but I also don't think anyone remembers that, so it's cool.
Yeah.
But that said, man, like, I've done those shows, and you know what? I always end up having such a great time, like, with the people and, like, my homies, because a lot of people who are huge in the pipe game now all came up doing bead shows and art shows because that was the only way to really get a lot of work out, 10, 12 years ago.
Yep.
So, I'm just, I'm hanging out with the buddies. It's all good. But, like, since it's not my passionate product, I always felt like a poser, man. I always felt like kind of out of sorts. Like, really happy with my friends, but, like, I never really had, like, a successful pipe trade show. I never have, because it's just not what I'm passionate about. So when I talk to people about, like, my pendants or my home decor or, like, the kids program, I'm so passionate about it. When I was talking about pipe making, it was just like, it's 4 pieces, like an Incalmo. I mean, it's going to work, man. It's got a bowl. It's got the carb on it. It's a good draw. I'd smoke out of it. You know what I mean? But, like, people who are very passionate on that side of the industry can tell when you don't match their enthusiasm. You know what I mean? And I'm not the guy that's going to go take, like, a gram blob, man. I'm not going to do that. Like, I don't dab like that. It's just not, it's not me. And so, like, to a certain extent, you have to be part of that culture to really get a lot of respect and go far in that culture. And I respect my friends and that culture enough to say, hey, man, I'm a good flame worker. I make a competent piece, but that's not my wheelhouse, man. And Glassroots didn't make me feel like that. Like when I was in Glassroots, I just felt like, oh, I brought the wrong product. If I were here with the right product, I'd be killing it. It'd be great. So, like, I got a couple of tricks up my sleeve, man. A couple of really good collabs I have going on this year that we're going to debut at Glassroots, as a matter of fact. And so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, that's the show that like I really dig. I'm happy that you support that show also, man, because I have friends in all the other trade shows. So again, I'm not trying to stop no one's money. Just from my own point of view and what I have going on, I like Glassroots. I'll be back for sure.
Yeah, I've heard lots of positives about Glassroots for sure, especially the fact on the educational side. I mean, they're holding symposiums and talks about the laws and techniques and business and stuff, all the shit that needs to be talked about. So, like, I was talking to Box Fan about it, and he's a big influencer in that organization as well, and, you know, getting that thing going. So I told him I wanted to bring all the guys on to talk about the show. He's like, well, they may not want to talk about it just because they're not that kind of person, so I'll be talking to you about it, this kind of thing. So I'm going to bring it back on to talk about the show. But, yeah, man, it's important, you know, to take advantage of having this amazing organizational group of all of this people in the industry to come together, and we got to take advantage of that opportunity to talk about shit, to have discussional groups, to have panels, you know, the whole 9 yards. Not everybody's gonna want to talk, but the fact is that we have now this whole collaborative group of people that come together at one time several times a year, so we need to take advantage of it. And I think Glassroots is the one that's really pushing that perspective of really pushing education, not just having games and having fun like Champs does, which I think is killer and innovative, but I think the educational side needs to happen.
I'll put it like this: there's a place for everything in the industry, and what Glassroots adds, we were really lacking. Like we need the glass games. We like our industry needs that kind of like Vegas rock star kind of like appeal because it has it. It's not something we're like fake cultivating. It has it, so pay homage to it. Vegas is a thing, but like another side of actual trade shows, man, is just the raw dog networking that goes down like outside, and the symposiums, the sharing of knowledge, those breakthrough moments where like there's something you're struggling with that someone else already mastered, so you finally sit down and have a beverage and you're like that aha moment. It wasn't that wasn't possible like at the Circle Bar or any of the other like, you know, industry social hotspots at the various shows, but like Glassroots I think really brings it out into the forefront and puts it on the show floor. And I think that as a team they're pretty receptive to like how the vendors feel, and I dig it. So yeah,
man, that's awesome. Yeah, part of my new plan for my business plan now, what I'm doing is I have a distributor that I've been doing production for about 2 years now almost, and I'm going to keep them going, but really my goal now is between the podcast and doing my Disney thing is just to stock up on things that I want to make and then go to Glassroots with it all. You know, if I can go there with $100,000 worth of shit and I maybe sell half of it, I'll be fucking pumped. You know, but that's the idea is now I can actually, now that I've worked my ass off for 17 years, I can now say, okay, this summertime, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of production. It's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm just going to be putting on the shelf and putting away.
Yeah.
Just because I can, you know, but I'm still I got to make my bread and butter still, don't get me wrong.
No, totally. You and know? That, dude, you know, and it's just, you know, I love talking to you, man, because sometimes it's like talking into a mirror, so that's cool. But now it's that full circle, and we talked about it on the first episode, so I'm happy to just really just hammer it home now, man, like balance. I'm talking about like Karate Kid, balanced on the boat with the waves, throwing punches at the air kind of balance, man. Like you just like to be able to get yourself to a point where you're like, this is my bread and butter. This is how I'm going to allocate that. But I also realize that because I have, whether you have a family or you have future plans or you want to buy a new car or your dog needs a new collar or you need a new longboard, whatever you're trying to get to with glass, it can get you there as long as you have a plan.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's it, man. What's that whole saying about only if you plan to fail, you fail to plan, or some one of those kind of deals?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. You know, it's like any other recipe. Like, you know, you think about the end goal. You want a chocolate chip cookie. Well, then you're going to assemble all the ingredients that you need. And like as human beings, or at least the human beings I interact with, we tend to get caught up in the fact that like they lose that subtle point, man, where it's like, no, you just need the ingredients and you need the plan. If you're making chocolate chip cookies, you're not going to go out and get like a leg of lamb and some celery. You're not going to add that to your cart. You're not going to add that. You don't need oranges for that. Well, maybe you do. You know what I mean? But like if you're at the grocery store shopping for a recipe because you're trying to get to a plan of a meal, then like if you start to incorporate that kind of thinking into your whole life, like what do I really need in my toolkit to succeed? What do I need in my shopping cart? Like, I mean, throw some extra cookies in there. Everyone needs some cookies on the side. You know what I mean? But like, or but like, you see what I'm saying though, man? It's all about building that plan.
Yeah.
And approaching flame work without having like a shopping list. I mean, you can do it at the beginning, man. I used to when I was, when I first started shopping at the store too. But now I'm more mature. I don't, I'm more efficient with my bread. I'm about future planning. So like I show up with a list. And, it's the same kind of thing with glass.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Evernote, I don't know if you use Evernote or not, but Evernote has saved my life. And it's an app on your phone.
I do indeed.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Hell yeah, man. Well, I think that's
awesome,
a good transition for us to wrap this baby up, because I can like sit here and talk to you for the next 2 days and you're going to miss your flight.
man, same. And like, hey, man, and also it's something we both talked about, man. I think that, for two busy guys, we've done a pretty decent job, at least like staying in touch with each other, whether it be like text messages here and there, a quick call, social media. So like, thanks for what you're doing and thanks for the friendship, man.
Oh yeah, man. Likewise. Thank you.
Random question. And when you grabbed that quick call from the dealer, did you stay recording or did you stop recording during that period?
I hit stop. Okay,
cool. Then never mind. You didn't hear all the nice, wonderful things I said about you to all the nice people. So, like, really, man, I want to thank you. If I'm allowed to, I'm going to thank you on behalf of at least the current contemporary borosilicate industry, because one, you gave me something else to listen to in my ears when I'm working, which is so important. Two, man, this is a safe place. Like, I write articles, I do different interviews for different things, and I feel like I can be the most frank and the most real here, as it were.
Right.
I think that what you've done is astounding. When you hit me up about the 100th, I was like, one, fuck yeah. Two, like, I'm just, I don't know what I thought at the beginning or where I thought you were going, but the fact that you got to this point so quickly and with such good content, like the way I'll tell you, I binge listen to the show. So I wait for about 5 episodes and I just stand there and just burn through them all, like on a Saturday or Sunday morning.
Hell yeah.
So that's how I tend to listen. But like, man, whether you're listening every week or sporadically, or like, seriously, me and you turned on a guy last night onto your show.
Yeah.
Because he was posting online.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, man, every day new flame workers are hearing about it. And that's one thing I urge everyone that listens to this is that, there's no one getting rich off this program. Like, I don't care what Jason says. I know that he's making a little bit, man, because he has to for the time. But like, he's not trying to buy a boat off this. He's just trying to keep the information out there and keep us all talking, because once we all start talking, we all have the same vocabulary, we all have more understanding. And so thank you for giving flame workers a forum for that. Everyone keep talking about the show, keep supporting Jason and all of his moves. Shout out to Wise Guys. This is a great idea.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It makes me smile from ear to ear.
No problem, man. Hey, I will talk to you later on today on a business level. And other than that, man, have a prosperous day, man. Shouts out to you and all yours.
Hell yeah, brother. Enjoy the day. Hopefully I'll get my car back today.
Man, I hope so too, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, homeboy. Take
Peace,
it easy, man.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye. Peace. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.